You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, LuchaCentral.com presents Masks, Mats, and Mayhem.
I can all write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Welcome to another edition of Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. I am your host, Justin Outlaw Harvey. You can find me on social media at JustinHarvey75. You, in fact, can find the entire show on social media at MMMShow75. And that up there is at Byron Fever.
Catch it.
That over there is Legma Balls. What's going on, brother? I know you stopped by for a special reason. It's probably that belt, right? Because you're the champion.
I have two reasons. First of all, yes, the champ is here. Okay, first thing. I mean, look at this, people. WWF, this is beautiful. This was a birthday gift from Byron and Justin. And I got to say, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. You know, this was the biggest prize in the world when I was like 10 years old. It was like the one thing that I wanted more than anything. And, you know, as you get older, things change. And the belt gets farther and farther away from you. And I'm 42 years old now, man. This belt's really far away. So I'd like to thank you guys for getting me this reminder of the Reaper getting closer every day. No, but I absolutely love it. Seriously, you guys are my brothers. I love you. Thank you so much. This is fucking beautiful. I almost started bawling like a little baby when I opened it, which would have been really embarrassing because Byron was fucking recording it.
He might have a video. I have the video. I should tweet it.
I hope the video shows the full wood that I had. Full, like.
I mean,
unmistakable.
And what promotion was that
noticeable.
for? What promotion is that belt for?
Oh, that's for the WWF. WWF.
That's right. That's the World Wrestling Federation. Back when wrestling was federated.
When it was real.
Back when I cared. And they're not allowed to sell these belts anymore. Shalom Aleichem to the man that made this.
What?
The Panda Bears get really upset when they make those belts now.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. It made me very happy, but then something happened that made me very sad. I put the belt down and I saw Byron's face.
No, the other thing, Casey, you're supposed to talk about the other thing.
Okay, I got to talk about Judo Gene LeBell, man. Fuck. Yeah, that was a sad passing, dude. I absolutely love this man.
The part where Seagal crapped himself, or when Gene LeBell died. One of those two passes.
Oh no, Seagal deserved it. You know, he kind of made it seem like the shit didn't really happen, but the rest of the story was true. But maybe there was shit. I'm not gonna check Steven Seagal's underpants. He probably goes commando, knowing him. He's weird, right? Like, he probably doesn't wear underwear.
Well, and let's be honest. As much as he might not be the badass that he reports to be, he could probably still kill any of us. So I guess we'll leave Steven Seagal alone in that regards. I mean, if he catches
him with his belt and he goes down like a bitch, man, I'll just knock him out with my championship right here. You hear that? That's his head. That's his head. Gino. All right.
Now, so the story I heard too, though, was that Seagal was being really kind of abusive to the crew and the stunt people on that set, and you know. Part of why Judo Gene did that was to put him in his place of like, dude, we don't treat people like that. Yeah.
He's hitting people a little too hard, and that happens. You know, it's just weird that the biggest alleged assholes in martial arts are known for hitting their people a little too hard when they're doing their action scenes. So Gene LeBell, not Gene LeBell. He's great. Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
No. Chuck Norris is known for kind of cranking down on people. That sounded wrong.
Well,
I'm not going to amend it.
Because you think a guy like Gene LeBell, who is, you know, notoriously tough as hell, you know, and a shoot fighter would be the guy that would be like, stop being pussies and hit him harder. But no, he also understood the difference between a work and not a work. Like, bro, yes, we know how to fight, but you save that for a real fight, man. These guys are here to work with you. You do a dance, you do a thing, you make it look good, and you don't hurt anybody.
He was trained by Lou Thez, dude. Like, who else can say that? I mean, Chono can say that, but like,
truth,
not a lot of people can. And it's like, he was invited to do the first UFC. That's a funny story. Okay. So he's got this reputation for being great, and the Gracies kind of didn't like him. So they invited him to be in the first UFC, but he was already like in his 60s. So he's like, yeah, I'll do the first UFC if you let me fight Helio. And they're like, okay, we'll do it, but you have to get to this weird weight that he would never get to. And so they kind of kept him out of it. Because, I mean, come on, they didn't even have weight classes in the first UFC. But, yeah, he actually said that, you know, he thought the Gracies were great, but that he thought Lou Thez would beat Helio Gracie, which is interesting. Pretty interesting.
Possible. Could happen.
You know, but Judo Gene was a great guy. He used to go around to all the territories and be an enforcer and fuck people up or fans up if they were causing trouble. And he was also, he doesn't talk about it a lot because it's kind of a fucked up story, but he was wrestling, I think, in Texas, and I don't think it was for the Funks or for the Von Erichs. I think it might have been for, like, the Blanchards. And it was still segregated there, and he thought it was bullshit. So he decided that he would work as a heel for the white people, but he'd be cool to all the black people. And one thing that almost caused a riot that he did is he went on TV and he started drinking out of the black drinking fountain. And he said,
that's awesome.
I'm going to win this match because I'm drinking the water of the chosen people. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing. That is amazing. But yeah, he would like, if territories were having fans that are like, I can do wrestling, this is fake. They're like, you know what? You wrestle Gene, we'll put you on TV against our other guys. They never got past Gene.
Who
and
could?
There was actually, he was lining people up because he did it. He beat a military guy. He's like, bring all your friends. He brought like a stream of fellow Marines in, and he was choking them out one by one in front of everybody. Yeah, kind of amazing. Sometimes he'd make them put on judo jackets and say it was a judo jacket match, and then he'd just do a jacket choke and take them out in a second.
Yeah.
So he like totally set these people up, which is awesome. But yeah, he was the toughest man alive. If you can find his biography, by all means, read it. It's out of print. It's kind of expensive.
Aren't there two of them?
There are two, but the first one I don't think was an autobiography. The one that's called The Toughest Man Alive was.
Okay, that's what I would write about myself too.
Yeah, he called it that himself, which is amazing. And people are just like, fuck yeah, he was. This dude trained Piper, dude. He trained him how to shoot, man. And yeah, it's like, dude, the first book was better. I just can't remember the name of it, but I read both, and they're both full of like great wrestling stories and awesome stuff. And also like a slice of California wrestling history, which you don't normally see because Gene's brother was a piece of shit and didn't save anything and just kept re-recording over tapes because he was cheap as fuck. And so everyone says Gene's brother was like the worst, but Gene was the best. And history seems to show that as well because everyone loved Gene. It's a shame that his books were out of print. It's a shame that more people don't know about him and know who he is. I'd say like a lot of our audience now, if they don't know who he is, might know him for being the crazy old guy on Reno 911 more than anything because he was on a lot of episodes.
That's true.
Like he was the old guy in his underwear that they were always trying to arrest. That's, you know, like that's the most recent thing I can think of that was on like a lot, you know?
But now is definitely the time to like hit the YouTube and look at all the stuff that's out there because there's a ton of stuff. There's that one thing that went around forever on VHS. There's actually a couple of them of the Judo
The
Gene
finishing
training.
holds video. Yeah.
The finishing holds it's just absolutely amazing. Like if you haven't watched it, just go search Judo Gene finishing and you'll find it. And it's worth every second. Or we'll post it
You
on
may
there.
not learn much that you'll use in a real fight, but I swear the things that he's telling you about grips and handholds in the first 5 minutes are invaluable, and you should
100% legit.
What's your favorite grip?
Oh, dude, the fuck! I can't hold my phone and do it.
Is it this? Or
No,
is it S?
No, you do it like this. You put your thumb in
the thumb lock grip.
Yeah, so that you get that extra grip. Or this is good too. Like if you're doing a full Nelson on somebody, you do it like that, and then you push down.
Well, the wrist ones are really good for MMA because you actually get the Velcro from the glove that you can hold on to, or the seam right between the Velcro and the pads. Those actually still work even in modern MMA.
And cool. The illustration of me with the full Nelson, if you heard the cracks that my old man fingers actually did while I did that, it really breaks your fingers. Man, he was legit. He was cool as fuck. He trained Ronda Rousey, but fuck Ronda Rousey. He trained cool people too, like Roddy Piper. You know,
the original Rowdy one, the real Rowdy one, the only Rowdy one.
He's up there with Piper telling some stories right now. Hopefully they can both hear us. So we love them both and we miss them.
Dude, they're up there right now playing the crowd for heel heat. You know it.
Exactly, which is great. And Gene was a big part of KCOP history, Channel 13 here in California, which doesn't get a lot of love historically, but it was one of the first local stations here, and it's a big deal. And because he was a broadcaster, he didn't want to wrestle. They eventually kind of made him wrestle, and so he put on a mask, and he was the hangman, and he would pretend to limp so that people wouldn't know who he was. He eventually lost a mask match, though, so there was a payoff. There's a great write-up about it in The Observer. I heard that The Observer radio about Gene is even better, but I haven't listened to it yet. But I just wanted to share my thoughts. I don't really care about modern wrestling. Kenny's not coming back Wednesday. I'm just going to say that right now. And it's going to be me. I'm going to be teaming with the Young Bucks. And
to do what?
Dude, I'm going to lay down and let Pentagon pin me when the match comes.
No, that's not going to happen in AEW on a big match. No, that won't happen.
I'm taking him down from the inside.
There's one for you. There's a KC-specific question right there.
Okay.
Is the Great Baloo still wrestling?
I don't know who the fucking Great Baloo is, man. If the professor doesn't know, I don't know.
And you got to send a shout out to Goatse.
Oh, Goatse, we love you, brother. How's it going?
Get back to work.
Goatse, check out my fucking belt, man. Look at that. They don't have that in Australia. Straight from Pakistan. Salam alaikum. Yeah.
All right, Casey. So this is my last question for you. What's your take on the Effie thing?
Dude, I don't even know what the Effie thing is. I like Effie. He's cool, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone knows what the Effie thing is, but it's like a thing. The IWC had a thing with Effie.
Still?
I don't know why. I don't know. It was like
Dude, show them some Dino matches and then hear what they cry about.
I know a while ago he had a match. Was it with Dark Sheik or someone? And he did a spot, which is basically he put his crotch in her face. But I don't know if it was like an attack or what it was, but it was basically, one of his things. And it just got compared, and the explaining of it got compared to the whole Joey Ryan deal.
Are you cool? So they were cool with Jeff Jarrett getting it, but not Dark Sheik because they like her more?
I don't know if I don't know if it was like a new or old spot, but he did something, and everyone at GCW, including whoever was in the match, I don't know if it was Sheik. I think it was Sheik, and everyone was cool with it.
Yeah. So, I think I think they need to see the apartment death match from DDT from start to finish.
That's a all-time classic.
And I hope their mom walks in the same time that happened to J Ray when he was watching it.
Wow, that's not okay.
There's a story. There's a story.
By the way,
There's
here's
one of your
here's-
homies too there, Case. See, they all come, everyone comes out of the woodwork for
Whoa!
Case.
Wait, what? What?
Andre, Nichols.
Oh, Andre, what's up? What's up? What's up? It is an old
What up,
spot.
Doc?
There we go. There we go. Andre, the spell is half yours. It's half yours for saying that. Thank you.
That's what happens when you get a championship question in on the MMM show or comment.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm never gonna do the show again, but thank you. No, I legit just wanted to come in and thank these guys, and then talk about Judo Gene, and then say Kenny's not coming back. Don't even watch the show. Don't even watch.
Kenny's coming back.
All right, well, we'll have to see if this this brief cameo this week does what Meef's brief cameo last week did, because he got big numbers, man. And thanks for everyone who listened last week. That's our biggest show in a while. And
Wow, get some taste.
I don't know if it was on the back of Meefloaf's appearance or the fact that Karrion Kross told all his buddies to watch, but one of those two things did us some good.
Okay, I want to say congrats to Kross for being back. And I also want to say, fuck you, Meef. Hashtag Meef Slam.
Meef Slam, hashtag.
Hashtag.
Played in reverse.
Nice work, Byron.
And also, look, man, listen to another miserable podcast everywhere that you can find podcasts.
What is that?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Oh, dude, it's my horror podcast that I do with Zach and this dude Chris that you guys don't know, because those of you that are true MM show listeners, I might add an extra M there. I'm hungry. Delicious. You'll remember Zach from the episode he appeared on of this show.
Oh God,
he was on the show.
Be remembered for that though? Does
not? He absolutely does not. But
he keeps the kayfabe going for it, right? You gotta accept it. You gotta take your wins and losses, man. When you have to lay down like that in the middle of the battle, sometimes you just gotta accept it as part of your history and lineage and move on.
He's a great horror podcast host, and so am I, and so is Chris. So listen to the show.
You guys are really good at it. Every horror convention we go to, we show up and we're in line, and you guys are like, "Oh, we don't have anything for our podcast." You don't even wear a shirt, so people see that it's a thing.
How many MMM show fucking business cards do you have printed, Byron?
I used to wear them. Justin has them. We
do have 500 of them right now, and we got Byron and I were just talking about this. We got recognized in Philly, long way from home. Like, it's one thing to get recognized at an LA show, but we actually got stopped a couple times. Like, hey, you're the MMM show guys, out of nowhere in Philly.
I can't wear my merch because it says fucking giant letters on it. But you know what? You know who wears my merch? Andre Nichols in the chat. Thank you. Love you, sir. I hope you still have that shirt and you don't just wash your car with it.
No, it is.
But it would be an honor to wash your car, my friend.
Our shirts do not have ShamWow capabilities. Sorry, we'll have to upgrade them on the next batch.
Oh, dude, that would be sick, because then if you sweat, they would just, like, dry.
Oh, yeah, it just sweeps right away into the ShamWowness of it all.
Yeah, yeah. But what about the slap shot? You're going to love my nuts. Boom.
Wow. That's how it goes when the gringo appears, when the professor arrives and disappears. He didn't say penis this time, though, Byron.
He didn't, and that's a failure of his, which will drive him to not sleep and not eat for 7 days until he comes back on the show next week just to say penis.
I was gonna talk about the Effie thing later, but I guess I'll finish my quick thoughts on it now. Or actually, I don't even really have thoughts on it. I just have a question more than anything else. Like, are we to the point now with just the current mentality, and I don't really judge it one way or the other, are we to the point now though where, like, you can't do any kind of sexualized gimmick in wrestling because it's just construed the wrong way? Like, have we finally gotten there?
I mean, I definitely think, like, the Joey Ryan thing kind of ruined a lot of good faith spots for Heat. I think also in general, the whole Me Too movement of wrestling ruined a lot of good faith. I mean, it's just before a lot of that happened, I think an example or the metaphor of it could be like Louis C.K. had a joke that was very plainly saying something to the effect of rape is bad unless you want to have sex with someone and they won't let you. And then everyone laughs because you're like, oh, this guy is...
Right, because it makes your brain
harmless.
tickle because it's not what you're thinking.
He's
joke.
harmless, and it's like, oh, it's so outrageous, and blah, blah, blah. But then you find out, oh, Louis C.K. actually did something like that, and like had major implications on a lot of people's lives, or people's lives that ruined their careers and blah blah blah. And you're like, oh, I had that. So like, how do you learn to trust again? How do you? So I could see why people would be uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, Hulk Hogan seemed to be fine after the Michael Richards thing.
Oh, someone was trying to tell me.
I just love the awkward silence there. So appropriate. Go ahead, Mark.
Someone was trying to tell me that they use the word vinegar, but I still wouldn't be allowed to say it.
Wow, that's a good one.
It's close, right? But like, I mean, I would not say it to anyone except for you.
How do you say vinegar?
with it at the end, not an R.
Right.
Well,
that's why I always loved Arnold Schwarzenegger's name. It basically means black. It's kind of weird.
Oh, that's why he's a man of the people. But with the Effie thing, it's just he's an outlandish, sort of controversial type of character. Although he's fine. He's a guy. He's basically a dude who knows business really well and runs his own personal brand really well. And he's like the guy on the indies that everyone would want to work with because you make money with him.
And it's like, okay, I will understand comparisons to Joey Ryan when somebody takes their penis gimmick too far and they become Joey Ryan. Like you can't compare yourself to him now if that person also doesn't have that kind of backstage antics going on. I think that that's the unfair comparison. Yeah, maybe some of the in-ring stuff is similar, but that's like saying that every dude who does a leg drop is a racist. You have to be careful of who you compare somebody to because the comparison stretches beyond. Like I get the in-ring part of the gimmick and the spots may have some similarities, but I personally, like, unless there's some kind of accusation that I have not heard about Effie, I can't say that I know much about Effie other than that I've been very entertained in the last year or so by a lot of Effie stuff, and Effie seems to really have a good business sense and a good sense of self-booking and what kind of spots are getting over and really good crowd interaction. And, a lot of big name performers are more than happy to work with Effie. So I just find it interesting that the internet wrestling community gets so avid about certain things of like, is this like, are we canceling Effie now because a spot made you cringe a little bit? Like, let's just call it a cringy spot and move on.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's the whole outrage thing. And I don't like to get into using the words cancel culture and whatever words, blah, blah, blah. Nothing means anything anymore. It's just, but people like to get upset. There's lots of bad things going on. And like Joey Ryan happens and you get really upset. And then something else reminds you of that. And you just go back to that level. Like,
look, all I can say is I was so happy about the Joey Ryan presentation in Lucha Underground not having that stuff.
Yeah.
Even at the time before all the other stuff came out, I personally was a little put off by some of it. Like some of it was funny and it was kitschy and stuff, but I always did kind of wonder, like, and this is kind of what I wonder in the Effie thing, like, is it wrong when your spot is sexualized if it could make the other performers that you're performing with uncomfortable? And with Joey Ryan, there was a few times where I was like, man, I don't think that girl wants to be doing that spot, or I don't even think that dude wants to be doing that spot. Like, but because they're an up-and-comer, like they feel like they have to. And it's one thing to, take certain bumps, but also you don't want to take a risky bump with somebody, if you're not comfortable with it. And, wrestling's tough because at a certain point you can say certain things, and at other points in your career you may not be able to speak up. And that's when is the intimidation of doing a spot that you're uncomfortable with an issue, and do all manners of sexualized spots have to go because of that? Like, what do you do with a pimpinella? Is that off the table now too? Like, just Dino,
Right.
like are these spots just not okay now? And honestly, again, I don't know that this is something to answer. Like, if you have an opinion, throw it out at us at the MMM show 75 and give us your opinion, because I don't know that I have an opinion if that time is now or not. I mean, the world is changing and I'm not afraid of change. I just don't know. This isn't one where I agree or disagree. I just kind of wonder, what is okay now.
I think it's the harder thing to do, but you have to go case by case, person by person, and just do the best you can. You can't make a blanket rule for everything. You just can't. You can't take all sexualized spots. You can't take all things that are meant to elicit some type of visceral emotion from the crowd out. That's the nature of wrestling. You have people could you have Ric Flair stand in the ring and point to the crowd and go, "Shut up, fat boy," and then wave his penis at him or start thrusting? Like, could he do that nowadays?
Who knows? Probably not.
So, but I think, like, with the Effie thing,
it makes it harder for the heels. It's like you have to insult the local sports team now to get heel heat. Like, what? Oh, actually, Jeff Jarrett did it perfectly at Ric Flair's last match of like, look, there's still plenty of ways without crossing a line to heal a crowd very quickly if you're good at it.
He did all the bells and whistles for that audience. It was fantastic.
Every single one of them he used. And like, if you're a good heel, just go and borrow one of those. That's all you need. Like, Jeff Jarrett emptied the tool shed because he's like, man, I'm not going to do this again for a while. Let's just open the toolbox and dump it upside down on someone.
Yeah, it was great.
It was really great stuff.
But yeah, so anyway, for Effie, I think end of the day, everyone, including everyone he works with and his opponent, as far as I saw, not only defended him, but they're like, what is your problem? We're like, it's a non-issue, right? And so I think that goes a long way too.
Yeah, and I almost felt like I had wanted to in a few threads that I saw to defend Effie, but I don't know Effie well enough to defend it. I don't know if there was some other backstory. So, and that's the other thing. I'm smart enough to read it and see what's going on and kind of try to feel everyone's opinion out, but also not make a statement when I don't have the information. That it seems to be a very big problem in the internet wrestling community in general of people just speaking out of turn about any old thing.
It's not even out of turn. It's like,
with a complete lack of information.
It's like, here's something. It's just contributing something that isn't necessary. And I realize, like, we're doing a wrestling podcast in a world where there's 1,000 of them, but it's like, if you go to Twitter, you go to a Reddit post and you see something and you see a bunch of people commenting on it, it gets really cringeworthy. You're like, what are you? I guess there's community that people are looking for and whatever, but there's also like these hot button issues where a wrestler could do something and someone who doesn't know the wrestler, who didn't see the show, who has no context for anything or knowledge to, feels like they need to contribute. Or it's like the whole thing, like on Amazon, where like someone asks in the questions, you see a product, someone goes, "Hey, does this really work?" And then you see someone reply, "I didn't buy it. I don't know."
Like, why are you there? Why are you saying anything then? Like, you're not the person, you're not the query subject. Yeah. Here's my thing. Like, the thing that I love about the internet wrestling community in general is when, like fans of AEW is a great example. There are a lot of people very excited about AEW. These are wrestlers and performers they've been championing for years. They're really happy to see them in a big place. They really kind of want to, like, look, we told you these guys could do it. And the look, we told you these guys could do it part of it, I am 100% behind. But then it gets to the point that because of that, you want to start bashing, or they do start bashing everything else, or a large section of them start bashing everything else. And that's the part that I don't get. It's like, yeah, look, if you have genuine criticisms about the stuff, great. But if you're just bashing it for the sake of bashing it because you like your thing more, what's the point? You're not like, I'd rather know what the person who actually likes one of the other products thinks is wrong with that product, as opposed to the person who we know has their loyalties elsewhere just bashing it. It's like, look, I'm always going to bash the Pittsburgh Steelers. It doesn't matter that they put together a good team or worked hard. They're the enemy. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. My opinion about the Pittsburgh Steelers does not matter. It never will. And it's a joke, anything I say about the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I don't know or care anything about them. I like the Browns. Like, that's why, and that's where I think it's stupid. But also, as a Browns fan, you don't see me going on the NFL wrestling what would you call it? The NFL internet community, the NFL IC, the
NFL IWC,
the
NFLC.
Whatever. You don't see me doing that and just bashing on the friggin' Steelers the whole time. That would make no sense. Like, I'm there to talk about how cool the Browns are and what I like about football and this, that, and the other thing. And sure, I'll talk about how we'll beat the Steelers, or I'll talk about why we'll beat the Steelers, or where the Steelers might have a deficiency that allows us to expose them. But the part where I just, hate on their quarterback or something, it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you only do that for the Jets.
Right. Yeah, of course. Anyway, so here's the real question of the day. The real question of the day is who is winning the war in real life, not in the internet wrestling community, between AEW and WWE. And I know we started this conversation last week, but I think there's some interesting evidence this week. But before I get to that, I want to talk about who is clearly losing this week. And our wall of shame is returning for one name and one name only that I have to put on the wall of shame. Not from any fault of their own, but because they just got the biggest amount of suck handed to them this week out of anybody in wrestling. You know who's on the wall of shame now?
Is it Miz?
No. The wall of shame just isn't enough for him. It's not big enough for him. Anyway, on the wall of shame now, officially, now that I'm bringing it back, the first name on the new 2022 edition of the Wall of Shame is Freddie Prinze Jr. Poor Freddie. He had this great idea. He wants to start a wrestling company. He wants to do a kind of a mix of traditional territories wrestling with Lucha Underground style storytelling, do it as a TV show, let the performers/actors be unionized. Got all the right ideas to the point where I'm even like DMing Freddie, like, dude, if I'm available, I'd love to come and help you out with that thing next year, whatever. Yeah. He's got storyboards. He's telling this whole thing. Like, he's got a very specific vision. He's working very hard on it. His podcast is also halfway decent, by the way. Freddie Prinze Jr. is not a piece of crap like some people think he is. He's not just Fred from Scooby-Doo anymore. He actually worked at WWE for a while, which people don't even know. He was a writer in the writer's room. After
he got RKO'd.
Yeah. I mean, like, Freddie Prinze, I wouldn't say Freddie Prinze is wrestling, but he's not David Arquette, okay? He clearly knows what's up, and he's been around it his whole life. In fact, he has his own version of the Judo Gene Steven Seagal story, too, because he was around all those guys. Those guys were his dad's friends, and he knows all of those people. Anyway, he's still on the wall of shame, though, because it turns out that one man's giant killer is another man's lost champion. That Karrion Kross was, in fact, supposed to be and had pretty much already done a done deal with Freddie Prinze Jr. to be the champion of Freddie's wrestling promotion when it started up, being that he didn't really want to sign at any of the other promotions and whatnot. And I could have 100% seen Killer Kross being the champion of a new TV style promotion. So, Freddie says that Freddie said it on his podcast that he knew that it was coming basically as soon as Vince was out. And I'm like, I mean, I thought it was coming too. None of us could be sure, and I even texted Kross about it. And, he sounded like just excited and overjoyed at the time of the possibility and didn't really know himself at the time. But about a day before the infamous SmackDown a week and a half ago or whatever, that Freddie got the phone call from Kross, and Kross was like, yeah, about that being your champion thing. And Freddie, being very gracious, told him, like, hey, you've got to pursue your dreams. You can't give up your dream for my dream. And clearly Kross's dream is to be in the top programs at WWE and to be the WWE champion. Not that he would have had any issue being Freddie's champion or champion of any promotion for that matter. But, clearly the guy has worked his whole career to get to a spot where he can go to a place like WWE. And we know Kross, like, he really always wanted to do it the right way. He was a stickler about it, to the point where when he could have done certain things before that any wrestler would jump at the opportunity to, he would really take a pause and he would think it through and say, okay, but is this going to make me the guy that can be that WWE champion? Like, I don't just want to get there. I don't want to just go to WWE and, be some gladiator in a skirt or something. I want to get sorry, Kross. No, but like he legit like had a plan and a vision in his mind of like, I need to have these skills first. I need to spend this amount of time. I want to work with these top guys. Like, I'm going to fly myself out of my way to go do a match with Shane Douglas because I want to learn how he works the crowd. I want to do a match with Gotch that is all mat wrestling on the indie so that I know what it's like to rub somebody's face in the canvas, but still, wipe your feet on coming in and out of the ring and having respect for the whole business. Like they were that specific too. Like every time I've talked to him, when we actually talk about wrestling, he has always been super specific about the kind of guy he wanted to be when he got to the top. Not if, but when. And it was always a matter of when for him. Like, I am going to find a way to get there and to get there the right way. I want to pay my dues. I don't want to get jumped up before it's my time. I don't want to do things that don't make sense. I don't want to disrespect the business. I don't want to disrespect the guys who have been there before me or put in work. I want to do it the right way, the whole way. And that takes a lot to even consider any profession that way. Because most people will take every opportunity they can to get ahead and then figure it out after the fact,
Yeah.
And it's difficult, and I respect it because I have to say I've taken a similar path in a lot of my stuff, which is part of the reason why I get along with the guy, because I've always respected that about him. And it just happens that Freddie Prinze gets himself on the wall of shame because he was the guy on the wrong side of Kross being actually a good dude.
So what's the deal? So coming from a TV perspective of this, because from a wrestling perspective, Freddie is trying to get a company off the ground. It doesn't make sense for him to write. Like, of course, everyone's like, "All right, I want a place to work." They'll hit him up, but it doesn't make sense for him to have like a marquee talent to base it around right now, as far as a wrestling show. At this point,
I think it does though. The way, in Freddie's thinking, it's like because he's pitching it like a movie. He's pitching it like a TV show. He wants a star attached, and Freddie is a guy who has worked within Hollywood. Him and his wife are definitely Hollywood players. They understand the business side of it, and that was part of, or that is part of how Freddie wants to approach things differently. It's you option a script or an idea first. Then you get a couple of people attached to it and you try to keep them available to the project. But also in Hollywood, anybody knows that lots of times somebody's attached to a great project and, it might start off with Will Ferrell and end up with Daniel Craig. It
was that the Bond movie story?
No.
Oh.
I think that'd be amazing. Will Ferrell as James Bond. But it does happen, and I think Freddie is accepting of that. But it's still a bummer for him, But there's also good reasons for why some of this has happened. There's not. I won't say that there's truth to this, but I don't say that this is a fallacy either. USA has the truth. This part is true. USA has had issues with WWE about the fact that Roman Reigns is holding both the belts, and they don't get Roman Reigns very often. They don't get the WWE champion like they were before. Before they had a dedicated champion, and USA liked that. And it's not strange for them to say that. However, they don't have creative ability on the show necessarily because they can pick up a contract or they can drop a contract. They can say what standard and practices will accept or what they would like to see. But, all they can really do to WWE is negotiate for less money next time, because WWE actually owns and licenses the show to USA Networks and Universal, as with Fox. So there's not much they can do about the fact, but they have made it very clear that they don't like the fact that they don't have a champion. And it's been said that, with Triple H in power, they've been a little more forceful about that fact right off the bat, of like, hey, we understand the old man's gone, but we were trying to talk to him about this. This is an issue for us. So there's a lot of speculation that, and direct speculation, I'm talking speculation within the company, that Triple H, one of the reasons he brought Karrion Kross back is that he needs it to make sense to take one of the belts off of Roman Reigns as soon as makes sense.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go on Kross, but, there's a lot of speculation. I think even Freddie believes that Kross will end up holding one of those belts sooner rather than later, and that is one of the reasons to bring him in. They need a credible challenge, and looking around the current roster, there are credible challenges to Roman Reigns, but nothing that makes sense for the story. It's almost better to have Roman drop to a newer guy. And even if it's not to Kross, you drop to Drew, but then you have another feud right there that you can take to Raw or SmackDown, or you send Roman to Raw and leave Drew and Kross on SmackDown or whatever. Like, you have, when you do break it apart, you've got something instantly already ready to go, is the other part of it that you really want. You don't want it to fizzle and just be some new champion that's holding things up. You want immediate action. And Triple H is very smart in some of the storytelling aspects of it, of even people inside WWE don't know the answer. There are a few who do, and there are a lot that don't. That's great. That's the way it should be. And as much as shows like this and other podcasts or whatever, everybody wants to have news, everybody wants to have information. At the end of the day, no, I don't. What I really, really want the most is I will sacrifice every piece of information or inside track I have on anything to be actually entertained and surprised. I was surprised when Kross came back. And we texted and chatted with him tangentially about some other stuff in the week that it happened.
Yeah.
And didn't know. I have no problem with that. I'm not like, oh, I can't believe Kevin didn't tell us that he was going to No, I'm like, hell yeah, he didn't tell us. That's amazing. That's so awesome. Like, surprise. That gets me up for wrestling. That's the stuff that I like. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think also something that I think we're beginning to see with Triple H and the issue about Roman, the big champ, not being on both shows. I think what we're also seeing is we're seeing those second tier titles being elevated, where like you had a really good match.
Big time. Big time.
You had Gunther and Shinsuke put on a match.
That was an NXT match.
They did it for real, and like they did that match. It's one of those things. It's one of those things that I enjoy about some of the big AEW matches, but more so that I enjoy about the Japanese style wrestling, especially the G1's on right now. So like I'm kind of not watching anything else. But you see a good hard match, and there's a winner.
Well, if
and
Paul is watching, Paul is going to love you for watching the G1, because that's all Paul is about right now.
I'm still trying to catch up before it's done, because you do want to. It's hard to keep up, but you do want to see the finals live. You have to,
right?
But like you see a good match, and then if they tell the story right, you see why someone won, and it was a good contest. And then you could watch them wrestle again. Hopefully they put on another different entertaining match, but you don't think one guy sucks and is well below the other one. Like this Shinsuke Gunther match, I feel elevated Shinsuke in the eyes of WWE universe. People,
well, and that does bring us to the question of the week. And I could talk more about some of the speculation with Cody and Seth and all that stuff, because there was a lot of talk that the plan, Triple H's plan, not Vince's plan, Triple H's plan was to bring in Kross, have Roman drop to Kross one of the titles, and then to have Cody take that title off of Kross at WrestleMania. but which could be still in line with a little bit of Vince's plan, because from everything I heard, Cody was never going to win the belt from Roman Reigns. Roman wasn't for it. He was cool with dropping a title, but he didn't think that was the right story, and that the plan was never for Cody to actually get the big moment against Roman Reigns.
Really?
Yeah, because they need to move Roman into special attraction category, and doing it with Cody would lead to another big full-time feud. I don't think it's any insult to Cody or Roman being pretentious or whatever. It's the fact that they have to figure out how to make Roman into Randy Orton and John Cena and these other guys that are, and Brock Lesnar, that he can be more part-time and not hold up storylines, but still be a huge draw when they need him. Like, Roman's still going to wrestle for years, but he's not going to be full-time anymore, and they can't afford for him to be, because they can't pay that price. And I don't think his body can pay that price either. So, like, Roman has earned it. Roman gets to do that.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like that's a shame, though. I mean, I'm all for a wrestler not having a bump on the back of their neck and risk, killing themselves for a living. At least, cut it out as much as possible. I'm all for that. I think the timing is a shame, because Roman was always earmarked for the guy, and he had some runs, and really Roman only ever clicked in the Shield as an up-and-comer, like, to the full potential of what he was doing. He clicked as an up-and-comer in the Shield. I read about that Mox's book. I just finished it, by the way. If somehow you're under rocking, you haven't read Mox's autobiography, pick it up. It's a good, quick read. It's fun. But there's that, and then there is this heel run with Paul Heyman. He's doing his full potential.
I mean, I don't think if you didn't have the painfully long babyface Roman sells t-shirts run, that the Paul Heyman run wouldn't have been such a smooth and easy transition to the big time.
Right.
But oh my God, it was so dreadful. Like, if you think back to it, it wasn't anything bad about Roman Reigns, but there just wasn't a program that they could put that character in that you cared about. There was just no way to make anyone care about the babyface Roman gimmick then. We needed the quippy lines, we needed the insults, we needed the stuff.
There was so much fighting against it. There was inauthenticity, because you see Roman, you get an idea of who he is, but then he's being fed lines like saying succotash.
Like, you wanted the guy to be cool, but they were just never like Cody Rhodes. It makes sense to do the big babyface thing because it works in his personality. He's actually that guy. Roman's just a cool dude. He's just one of the cousins who wants to whoop some ass and take some names and like that. That's genuinely who he actually is. Well, you got to let his character reflect more of that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're from a business, from like a big picture perspective, they're just sorry. There has to be a way to have, like, Roman is a guy they brought up from day one. They brought him up from day one, and really, like, he had money making days with the Shield, like we mentioned, but his real money making days for WWE are just a little bit at the end.
Right.
How do you? And now he's shifting into part-timer stuff.
I think they missed a good solid year that they could have had equal success as they are having. Like, I don't think you did that whole babyface run that he had. I think you could have shaved it by literally a whole year, and they would have been fine.
I personally think you didn't need any of it. I thought
you think you could have done it that soon and haven't been as big as he is right now? I mean, like, half of the reason why so many people support him now is because they were so sick of it before. Like, I hated, you said Roman Reigns, and I'd be like, that's not wrestling. Don't talk to me about Roman Reigns. That's crap. That's not the sport that I like.
I think Roman, first, he had good intentioned investment by the fans in his work as the Shield. Then he had, all the basis of his heat as a babyface was the heat he got from the Punk podcast interview where, Roman has to look strong, make Roman look strong, that part of the story. You're like, it's just feeding into that whole like Super Cena thing that we got force fed for so long. Like, why does Roman have to look strong? We like these other guys that we've seen wrestle before a lot more. And I
at
think
the end of the day, this is the answer, because the Roman is the real payday, and it was not CM Punk.
yeah, I think CM Punk is a payday. I think Punk is going to have a lot.
Punk, even at his height in WWE, is not drawing money like Roman Reigns is right now.
Well, I don't think
he was close, but Roman has surpassed it.
I don't think Punk was put in that spot with WWE, and I think
he wasn't given the credibility, and he wasn't groomed from ground up for it either. He could have done into it. He could do it. He could have done the exception, not the rule.
Punk could have done Straight Edge Society on top. They could have done something, but also like maybe he just wasn't meant for the product that way. He's great for AEW, but also AEW, it's apples and oranges when you're comparing business and in market range as brands and stars, But right. But I mean, I think generally Punk had I think he's going to end up having more of his bigger money-making years than Roman has. Punk has been like legit for a while, and Roman has been a late bloomer. I think.
Look, they both still draw money. I'm not saying the guy doesn't draw money. I'm just saying Roman draws more. And at the end of the day, when both of their careers are said and done, Roman will have drawn a lot more overall.
I mean, hopefully for Roman, look, tomorrow isn't guaranteed for wrestling.
I know, but barring any kind of major medical reasoning, they're going to wheel him out for the next 10 years part-time.
Hopefully.
He's going to be doing WrestleManias until his knees don't work anymore. They're going to Undertaker him. He's going to keep going until the wheels fall off. Now he's just not going to do it full-time, and hopefully, it seems like he's a smart enough guy to be lessening the load now while he's young. And it seems like, Vince and everybody at WWE completely supported that, and now Triple H will continue to support that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I just think that, to your point, how big of a figure Roman is to WWE. He's the guy on the poster, he's the guy that is.
He's going to headline the next,
right?
5 WrestleManias, regardless of how much he's in WWE.
And he was earmarked for that from the beginning. That's what they wanted for him, and that's the potential he always had. I feel like it's a shame that they didn't get him, because it's not like it was even like a long shot or like an accident that he got to where he is now. It's a shame they didn't get him to the top of the mountain sooner. I think.
I don't disagree.
I don't think it would have.
Look, yeah. I think in the going back to kind of the topic of the day, this AEW versus WWE thing, I think that still your WWE top guy being Roman Reigns is winning and bigger than your AEW top guy CM Punk. Now, I also still think they can get 5 more years out of CM Punk too. I think he can be the headline top guy for AEW for a long time, and I think he's going to draw big money.
Yeah,
I think Roman's just going to keep edging him out, though.
Well, I think it's apples and oranges, really, because AEW is a growing company and blah blah blah.
What they need is apples and oranges, but in a top guy to top guy comparison, one top guy is clearly going to make more money than the other one.
Yeah. I mean, even if Roman gets a smaller slice of the pie, then, and I'm not saying he should. I think Roman should get a much bigger slice of the WWE pie than Punk, but let's just say he gets a smaller slice of the pie at WWE. The pie at WWE is so much bigger than AEW's ever will be anytime soon.
Maybe we'll see.
I think.
Well, so you were talking about. I want to go through a couple of the matches, because here's because I kind of want to look at some examples of things, and I'll fly through some of this, but other stuff I kind of want to land on, because this week felt different. And of course, we're still feeling the Triple H effect, but we're also feeling the effect of, some new stuff backstage at AEW, not as public as the Triple H thing and not as major as the Triple H thing, but AEW backstage from what I'm hearing and from what you're seeing and what's publicly going on, that they are trying to improve some storytelling. They are trying to do a few things differently.
Mhm.
And it was really funny because this week I felt like WWE did some very AEW-esque things, which also could be attributed to being NXT-esque things, by the way, not necessarily just AEW, but they definitely shifted certain things, especially with matches and match times and match flows, and also with dropping the ball in a few storylines. Where at the same time, AEW seemed to try to do more to tell some storylines in advance or set up some stories and do more storytelling.
Yeah.
And also do some shorter, quicker matches that felt more WWE style. So I thought it was a very interesting week of like, okay, well, so the reassessment this week in the AEW versus WWE comparison to me is not which one of them is excelling more at their own style, but which one of them did the other guy's thing better this week.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the approach that I took. So let me go back to SmackDown.
Well, I think in general, just big picture on that before we get going, I think in general with Triple H, and we talked a lot about this last week, I think you're going to see both companies in the same general ballpark as far as quality and the type of quality of product. So I think seeing them do each other's things, we're going to see more of that, because you're also going to see more capable wrestlers doing wrestling, and you're going to see characters and stories that are invested in by the company.
Possibly. We'll see. But that's kind of why I want to go through some of these things, because I think there were some hits and misses, and you know, maybe the companies shouldn't change as much as even I've been saying that some things should change. I don't know. So SmackDown, Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah defeat Shotzi and Xia Li. Nothing much to say there other than I think that they are correct. We talked a little bit about this last week. I think that the Raquel Rodriguez approach is, in fact, sound. I think you just keep doing this for a while. You just keep building it. And I liked this match, especially for Shotzi and Xia Li. I think this was kind of a redemption moment for both of them as well. Shotzi, I think, is in a similar situation to Raquel Rodriguez in the fact that they kind of blew it a little bit with her, not even really her fault. And she does have some weaknesses, some of which were exposed, some of which were exaggerated by the commentary of the peoples. But I think it's going to it needs to have a steady build, more matches like this. Everything that happened in this was absolutely fine and absolutely on target. Nothing special to write home about, but absolutely deserved to be where it was and was good for everyone involved, except maybe Aaliyah, who just like, you know, seems like a wonderful person and has a decent personality and has a good look, but I just don't see the value in her long term for them or anyone for that matter. I just don't see it personally.
I mean, you put her up against the competition. You're like, okay, let's put her on TV. I'm happy for her. But then when they go, who are you going to take off TV? I don't have an answer for you. I
really feel like Aaliyah is a talent that would be better served in NXT for many, many reasons, but that's just my opinion. All right, so then you get Kross and Scarlett with their Cast Out of Paradise promo. This was the big Karrion Kross moment, not necessarily Scarlett moment, but this was your Karrion Kross moment for the episode. And I know a lot of people were expecting a bigger follow-up, but I have to say this was correct. Also, I liked this. Like, give me the Kross promo. Let him say some words about it. Let him, you know, acknowledge that he's put some of the top guys on notice, and leave it there. You know, he gave us his, but everybody in the end, everybody pays the toll. This is very much the Vegas Killer version of the character, and it seems like they're letting him do that. This is exactly the kind of promos he was cutting in FSW 5 years ago, or whatever. He's redoing the creation of his gimmick, and that's what I want to see. You know, and I love this was a great astute way of storytelling, and WWE has done a few of these recently, and this is a new hallmark of the Triple H style, was that in the background of that promo, like, hey, we're writing a TV show now. That's when Drew is walking to his walkout. I don't know if that was a pre-tape or not, but it's beautiful because it transitioned right into Drew's ring entrance, and it's like, okay, we're actually doing linear storytelling now. We're connecting A to B. Like, we're doing a fired up promo. Oh, and in the background, way in the background, there's the guy that we're talking about walking to do his ring entrance. We're continuing the storyline. We're not breaking away from the big thing that we're doing right now, which is Drew versus Roman and this other new guy, Karrion Kross, interfering in it. That's, to me, that's good storytelling. I thought that was a really good touch that deserved to be acknowledged. Drew does his regular shtick, going to send Kross back to the dungeon, the hospital, or the graveyard. The Kross music hits. Scarlett arrives. You're expecting the big Karrion Kross run in. You're expecting that big follow-up, and you get the Usos instead, which I thought was a great touch. Like, no, guys, like, we love Karrion Kross, but at the same time, this is still Roman's show, even when he's not here. And Triple H was very smart, and whoever wrote this episode was very smart to still remember that, like, as much as we want Kross to be a star, Roman Reigns is the star. Even if he's not there, you let his supporting cast have a big moment. Also, just smart to me. But I like the fact that it gave Scarlett another big moment. This was, Scarlett was really downplayed under the Vince era. She was treated like a second-class citizen, that she was just, arm candy for Kross. And I do think that she has more to offer than that. And
Absolutely.
I think that she does. And even if it's just connected to him the entire time and as part of his gimmick, and I think the announce team, and God bless Michael Cole now, but I was not a fan of that guy for so long, but then when you hear the stories about how Vince talked to him in his ear through his entire career, he's just finally off the leash for the first time in his life, and his performances are magical compared to everything he's done in his entire career. And like 3 short weeks, the dude is probably the best announcer in the game, probably always was, and just no one ever could possibly know because he had some crazy old bastard yelling in his ear the entire time through his entire career. Just amazing. Anyway, so check marks for that segment, and that was regular stuff done the Triple H way, so it was even better. Good stuff. Kendo Kofi versus Viking Shields. I don't know what this was. This looked like a freaking LARPing match in Central Park gone wrong.
God.
And I love Kofi to death. Like, Kofi is my dude, man. But and I like the Viking Raiders too, or whatever the hell they're called these days. Yeah, they're Viking Raiders right now, right? Instead of,
they're not War Machine,
right? I don't know. They're Viking Raiders now. So, God, I just like, I get it, but it looked like a bunch of guys playing with toys. It just didn't sit to me. Even the, the splash off the barricade was kind of whatever, but this felt almost like WWE to me trying to make a cool impromptu bash, battle moment. And this is one of those things that I think AEW does better. And they do it on a regular basis. And I get mad because a lot of times it feels random and doesn't have the storytelling. Well, it felt even worse when WWE did it. It did feel random without the storytelling there also, but in addition, it looked clownish. And I thought that they made, 3 very credible, capable wrestlers look like idiots. So thumbs down for that one. Then we get to the one that I think is funny that I definitely want to stop and talk about for a minute. God bless Triple H. I know he wants to bring back a lot of his people that he believed in, but and Byron will tell you, I'm a fan of these guys.
Yeah.
But bringing back Hit Row without the guy whose house built Hit Row, Swerve, what do you think about this? Like, they got a squash match, which is, again, I think the right way to reintroduce them. But Hit Row without squash is like...
Without Swerve.
I mean, yeah, Hit Row without Swerve doing a squash just felt like a whole lot of who and why. Like, is the crowd buying this? Like, I get it.
Well, I think there were some reports on the internets and Reddits that are from Fightful Select that WWE reached out to 2 AEW talents about signing them back, and the talents notified Tony Khan and blah blah blah. That might be, they didn't say the names, but maybe they are wanting to get Swerve back. I think, well, Swerve is locked in for 5 years. We were talking about this last week, and he, by all appearances, is happy where he is. He
And
has a belt.
I think it's a better fit for him to stay there. And honestly, at best in WWE, he's Kofi. He gets all done with the belt at most.
And what I think,
if he stays with AEW, maybe he doesn't make as much money. Maybe he's never the biggest world champion. But I think that he leaves a bigger legacy and a credibility to his entire career if he stays there for 5 to 10 years.
He could do AEW, and then he could be a coach there later in his career. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we always talk about it, but I don't know how many people watch Swerve's matches and look at just the genius that he is with putting his matches together. He always looks good. And it's hard to not notice that. But everyone else,
I mean, even in some of the dumbest NXT matches, he made uber brand new green ass jobbers look like $1 million to his own detriment, to the point where I think he wasn't getting over because he was getting other people over.
Or
and
just,
he deserves better than that. And it's not that Triple H wouldn't give him better than that now. It's just I don't think the top is high enough for him at WWE to warrant it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because he was there and he was cooled for so long until they finally did Hit Row and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I mean, this evolution of Swerve that got him to where he's at now, which is, which, is working for him. I don't think it needed that long to percolate and figure out,
Right.
I think there is an element where they just don't get it. And I think there's an element in AEW where Tony Khan may not get what you're doing, but you're a grown ass man or woman and you are in charge of your career. So at some point, like, he's going to let you give a shot. He let Matt Hardy do the dumb teleportation thing. And, and everyone's like, it didn't really work. But he let him do
that
it
again, but he let him do it.
So
that's the thing. But I think you're going to find more success with Swerve. And I think at first, a lot of people are going to be like, huh? But I worry that without a mouthpiece like Swerve, the rest of Hit Row is going to also try to do stuff like that. And Triple H is also going to let them do that. And it might not land. And I think BFAB and Top Dollar, like, I don't know much about. I hear great things about Adonis. I haven't seen them yet. Top Dollar, I think, is a star. I think he is exactly the kind of big man that WWE could use, especially in a group. I think BFAB is actually a better mouthpiece than people realize, and is highly athletic, and hasn't really had a great chance. But she got in time at the PC that people don't realize, and she was doing better than most of the other women who were down at NXT with her at the time. And in fact, I've heard she's even was better than Shotzi in a lot of the PC training days. So,
oh wow, yeah. I mean, I think Hit Row and Swerve were all people who should not have been fired. So it's kind of like retconning a little bit. I think there is an appeal that if they wanted Swerve back, this would help. I think that would be relevant if Swerve was on like a 3-year deal that he's a year into. I think a 5-year deal is like it's a bit far. It's a bit far out,
Yeah. That would be a real Swerve to get him back on. Like Tony would have to be real bad at business to let that happen somehow.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think Swerve is actually going to go back. It's just he also has so much time to do other stuff he wants to do. And a guy like Swerve, I don't know him personally, but it seems like he's a little diversified in his interests, and seeing how he can make good money in AEW, work with Keith Lee and have a good time and get the promo and title belt time and blah, blah, blah on the main shows. It's just
from the few conversations I've had with him, he would tell you flat out any day of the week, he's not a wrestler. He's not a sports entertainer guy. He just is an entertainer. He's an artist. And I've met lots of people like that. Like, he doesn't necessarily care. He just wants to perform. He wants to perform for people. He likes entertaining people. He has a certain style and a certain swagger and a certain way of doing that. Like when you were if you saw him at, what was it, circus wrestling or whatever, that ring entrance where he was doing the dancing and all that crap, that is the real Swerve. And I think he even did it at MLW a little bit. Like that's who he really is. Like he wants to come out to the ring and just have it be a moment every time. Like, and if that moment came from him standing on a stage and rapping, or if that moment came from having 5,000 people listening to his podcast or whatever it is, like that, he is one of those guys. And it's not even out of an egotistical place. It's like I want to work hard to find a way to make people smile and get into a moment. That's who he is. And for WWE, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But it also, the guys who are genuinely like that, and there are plenty, like Elias, you know, they tend to be doomed to the mid card for a long, long time. And sometimes they have tremendously long runs doing it, but that seems to be the top of the game over there.
Yeah, but I also think that sort of free spirit goes against, and new regime.
Yes.
So we'll see, but it goes against working for how it is working for a company that like wouldn't let Bret Hart audition for a TV show when he was one of the biggest stars in the company.
I agree. You were correct with the way you said it. He's too diversified, I think, in his philosophy, and that's why I think Swerve should stay there. But it also means we'll see what happens with Hit Row. We'll see.
That means Hit Row is for sure on their own. I think it's
I foresee a feud with Maximum Male Models in their future. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think the way they were always presented was they all stood on their own 2 feet. And then, people like us, we were the ones who really put more into Swerve being the centerpiece and the leader.
Well, look, Top Dollar, I think, impressed everybody he needed to in the back. I don't know how B-Fab and Adonis did for themselves. Rhonda.
Top Dollar was a host on one of their shows, I think.
Yeah, he's got it. He's big, he moves good, and he's got personality. Top Dollar's
and he's into sneakers too.
Yeah, he's got the right kind of swag too if they let him show it off. I like this kind of Rhonda can afford it segment. I was talking to my brother actually, who is at best a casual. And he brought up the Ronda Rousey thing. And this also goes to show you the power of some of these names. And I think people who follow wrestling regularly forget. But even some of the reaction that the crowd gave Ronda here, like you can't sleep on the brand recognition that Ronda has, because it is actually, it's a thing. She was way over in this segment. The problem is, I don't think anybody knows which way over is in this segment right now. And maybe that is intentional after the way it came down. And as we've talked about before, this segment definitely stemmed from Rhonda's mind, but it is back in the hands of the creative team, I think, at this point. So, Rhonda dumps all this money out and does her whole like, well, this is the right character. The question is it the right reaction from the crowd? Right now, it feels a bit stone cold, which maybe is a good thing. Maybe it's a tweener thing that she needs to keep doing, of not following the rules, not playing the way that she's supposed to, but actually getting over for it. Because Rhonda with attitude is a much better fit, because she's actually like that in real life. She's not the nicest person. She's not super cool. She's not your buddy. Ronda Rousey's not your friend. Ronda Rousey is a very, very tough woman who wants to kick ass. Period. That's her real, true identity. So I love when she walks past Shayna Baszler and tells Shayna, and this is where it gets confusing, and this is where I don't know if I like the storytelling. She tells Shayna, who is the one that's supposed to be the true heel in all of this, you used to be a killer, which makes Shayna more into the baby face.
Yeah.
Like the whole Ronda tweener thing works, but then the Shayna and Liv parts are really suspect, because, Shayna actually comes out and cuts a promo for the first time, this limb from limb and step over Liv's carcass promo. And then Liv comes out and calls Shayna a bootleg Ronda Rousey, which gets a pop. But then Liv says she knows she'll win because she beat the real Ronda twice. And that's where it all goes wrong. Because as
Yeah.
soon as she says she beats Ronda twice, everyone's like, yeah, but one time you ran in when she was hurt, and the second time you tapped in the middle of a pin. They can't, if they're trying to get Liv over, touting victories over Ronda as clean victories is not working, guys. Like, that is a huge misstep. And the crowd instantly, dead silent. Not booing or anything, but just out of the promo because the crowd is not buying it.
It's a heel.
Giant misstep.
It's a textbook, not even heel move. It's a textbook chicken shit heel move. That's what Sami Zayn does with his character.
Right.
You know, that's where he goes and he'll go out and say he pinned everyone on the Jackass squad clean 1, 2, 3 at the biggest show of them all. Everyone saw it, and he's the best intercontinental champion in the world. And you're like, fuck this guy. You know,
and so look, but chicken shit heel can work. You know, full heel definitely works, as Jeff Jarrett proves. Chicken shit heel is definitely a good storytelling device.
Mhm.
You know, rampaging tweener, if Ronda can pull it off, is one of the ultimates because you can sell a lot of merch and you got a lot of storytelling options. You know, squeaky clean babyface or babyface that fights hard is great, but you know what doesn't work? Chicken shit babyface. That's not a thing, guys. And you guys just made Liv into that. I really question the storytelling with this. Like, if this, and I've heard that Ronda's not running this program anymore, and if she's not, then it makes it even worse. If Ronda came up with it and they just kind of went along with it because she's Ronda, like, look, here's the good news. The good news is it's working for Ronda. The other good news for me personally as a wrestling fan is I think this is a great way to potentially elevate Shayna. And if there is some more long-form storytelling here where, you know, you have some kind of double swerve with Shayna and Ronda hooking up, or some good reason for Shayna to fight Ronda as a babyface, I'm all for it. Great. Whatever works to gets me to Ronda and Shayna and gets Liv out of this picture is fine. And I don't dislike Liv, but they're killing her character for her to survive in the sphere of the Ronda Rousey character. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, maybe we can have faith in that there's a purpose and that they see, maybe you see a shelf life of like 4 months of Liv on top.
Right.
And you need to take her through the different cycles of like, okay, now in this program, or like she needs to heal it out a little bit. And like, instead of someone might have a much longer.
It's just like, and look, the feeling out of Liv's character and the crowd reactions and letting Liv get some time is not necessarily wrong. It's just you can't really afford to do that with your top belt and your top female draw in the program. Like, it's weird. Anyway,
I mean, it goes against all of Liv's appeal.
Yeah, and then I thought also if they were signaling that Shayna might be doing something different, they ruined that too by then having her attack the arm at the end and try to go full heel. But by then the crowd was just like, what? Like, we don't even know what's going on anymore. It was a fail. Anyway, Drew and Madcap defeat the Usos, which was interesting. Sammy gets a Claymore for showing up at the wrong time. You know, the Usos got their heat at the right time, and I get it. They're trying to get the Drew Roman thing over, so of course he goes over. Madcap just luckily gets the rub by being the guy that they needed to have alongside of Drew. I did think I really, in the Vince WWE, Karrion Kross would have been standing next to Drew McIntyre in this match and not Madcap. And I don't mean that Vince would have brought Karrion Kross in, but I'm saying that if Karrion Kross was the third guy in this thing under a Vince, you know, realm, he would have said, "Oh, make them tag together. That'll be good tension and heat and blah blah blah." He would have made Karrion Kross stand out there and flex, and then, you know, had the face and the kerfluffle between Kross and Drew at the end of the match. You know, make the enemies team up for one match against the common enemy, the Uso. Like, I'm glad they did not do that, and so Madcap just gets the benefit of it. So that was good storytelling, and that match was a little more like what you see elsewhere. That felt like a weeknight NXT tag match between two name tag teams, not necessarily a takeover one, but you know, Los Lotharios aren't hot enough to be maximum male models, according to Max Dupree. Too bad they weren't asking Max; they were asking Maxine, and Am I crazy? But has she gotten hotter during this gimmick already? Is the money doing good things for Maxine Dupree?
Probably. I don't watch the show.
Good. Don't. I was just like, okay, they're doing something. They're still doing the gimmick. Eli Drake still got a job. He cut a good promo. It was funny. It was interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of Eli Drake, he was a roommate of Moxley's. You'll learn about that if you read his book.
Maybe sullen Mox, like, good God, he's not the guy to tell you about anybody's character or anything. Mox is just like, hey, he's a good guy. Blah.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's funny reading Mox's book and hearing about his roommates and stuff. All the people that he was close with and came up with. It's really like he roomed with Cass for a while, and they had a whole thing. It's funny, but it's great.
Strange bedfellows.
Yeah, I really do think though, just to your original point, when Eli Drake was doing the models thing, or when he came back, it's good to have a group. It's good to have a team. And he looks good with them.
Yeah, they look great. They got to do something with it now, and I don't know that Triple H has cracked that formula yet. But again, like I won't be surprised to see them feuding with Hit Row, and it feels like they're really trying to bring back the stables and the credible tag team divisions. And Vince was always anti-tag team with his philosophy of, well, if there's two guys standing out there, I'm paying two guys.
Yeah.
But it's stupid because it's like, yeah, but Vince, you have them all under contract. You're paying every guy that's standing in the back right now anyway. So just make them real tag. Like Vince never got the tag team thing. He just never, ever did. And he would always tout things like, yeah, well, look at Bret Hitman Hart. He was better when I broke him up. Like, yeah, but that's not why that happened, Vince. Like he never, ever got it. And his best friends will tell you that. Johnny Ace and other guys that are douchebags also, but we're Vince's buddies, would also try to get him to accept that tag team wrestling wasn't what he thought it was. Like Vince is the single biggest ruin of tag team wrestling. And I'm glad to see that the industry outside of him is just continually fought to bring it back and make it something. And I think that you're seeing some of that with Triple H now, and hopefully the Maximum Male models will be in that kind of. I hope they kind of do a Freebirds gimmick too, where we get some of Max in there, but we'll see. This is interesting. I think that this past SmackDown, may in fact have been the best Ricochet promo ever.
Really?
Still not good. Don't get me wrong. Not saying it's good, but I'm saying that for Trevor, he got everything out. It didn't seem out of character. It's just the character's still not very good because it's Trevor. But look, he seemed natural and normal. Bum-ass Corbin attacked. And here's the thing. Corbin can work good programs. I don't know that with Corbin and the way that crowds react to him, and they go hot cold on Corbin all the time. Like every time they get something hot for Corbin, they follow it up with something not hot for Corbin. And I feel like coming off the Pat McAfee thing, like I guess keeping him tangentially involved and him being on commentary will help a bum-ass Corbin versus Ricochet program. But and we know that Triple H likes Ricochet, and he's going to give him more time and more opportunities, which is good. And this promo and having somebody interrupt it was smart. Like even though it still wasn't very good, I'm completely fine with them doing that. He needs the time. He's earned the time. He's just still not very good at it. But it was the best. Like I've heard all his promos, like some of his backstage stuff in Japan was decent. Yeah. He had a few moments that were uber duper scripted in Lucha Underground and very few words, very much an efficiency of words that were passable enough to get crowds fired up. Though his performance may have been whatever. But in WWE, by far, this is the best 2 sentences he's ever put together. So, and then of course we get to the Gunther versus Shinsuke match. Gunther retains here. I know a lot of people, and this is the Triple H thing, and I like this. He's biding his time. Everyone was just like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna like you didn't know who was going to win this match. I knew who was going to win this match, but you didn't know who was going to win this match because a lot of people were like, no, Triple H really likes Shinsuke. He thinks he's been squandered and misused and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Triple H agrees with that. But also winning the IC title cold just as a switch to Triple H, I think Triple H also knows isn't the way to make Shinsuke sign a sore. He's got to do it over and over again. He's got to reestablish Shinsuke's credibility and then put him in a whatever top position is going to fit and make it work. But you can't forget that Triple H also made Gunther as Walter his longest reigning NXT champion. Triple H also likes this guy. Like this guy, like people are forgetting this is one of Triple H's guys too.
Yeah. That's the thing we were talking about
was a big match between them, and he gave them the headlining spot of like, yes, these are two of my guys. This isn't about putting Shinsuke over. This is about showing you what my guys can do.
Yeah, it's also like the AEW TNT belt, where you don't get the world title matches, on the TV show all the time, blah blah blah. But you see the TNT belt on the TV show a lot, and you were always guaranteed. Most of the time there was a whole like Sammy era, which, but you were guaranteed a good match that mattered.
And they built that whole IC package again, just like they did for the US championship. It's like these belts mean something. NXT history means something. And sadly for Gunther, they can't really tout his NXT. Well, no, they even said it. They said during the match he was the longest rating NXT UK champion.
And that's
they didn't
the thing
mention that it was under a completely different name and gimmick, but
but that's also the thing. Like, and Shinsuke, used to carry himself like a world champion and used to anchor, his company.
Some backstory package behind that too. This was a highly touted guy from Japan that came here, and he has been a champion here, and
but Gunther can fill that role that Roman Reigns would fill on a week by week basis of being here's a champion with prestige. He's going to come out here, do a couple segments. He's going to just carry himself with a legitimacy and a box office behind him.
And this was the first step to that too, of not putting it as match 2 and having it be 5 minutes, of putting it as a 3-segment headlining match on the show. Like, if you want these secondary belts to mean something, you want to keep USA and Fox off your back about the champions and whatever, you show them this. I saw a few complaints about this match that it felt too long or that it felt like unrealistic. But that's, again, people used to the regular WWE style.
Yeah.
And this was more of an NXT/AEW style. And I liked it in this spot. I think Raw tried to do it in a couple spots that didn't work, but in this spot, I think it totally worked. I think this is exactly what you wanted. I'm going to blast through Raw. It's such a long show because I want to talk about some AEW stuff too, but so much Judgment Day with a Ray beatdown. Next week, Edge in Toronto. Okay, great.
Is Finn wearing long pants now?
Yes.
What a heel move.
It's fine. The girls can still see the package. He's still a babyface. To every girl in the front row, he's still a babyface, Byron.
You're gonna need NASA technology to hide that.
Asuka and Alexa beat Nikki Ash and Doudrop. Fine, but a time filler. It was fine. It protected everyone. Mizampa, as I like to call him, Ciampa and The Miz. This is very interesting to me. Ciampa hooking up with another Cleveland guy as a partner, which I don't know if anybody saw that comparison. Like The Miz is the new Johnny Wrestling. That's the takeaway from it.
Yeah, they don't need Gargano.
Miz is not there to elevate Ciampa. Triple H is playing it like Ciampa's elevating Miz, and that's smart. Like I'm still never going to be totally like some huge Miz fan. I 100% appreciate Miz, by the way, just like I always 100% appreciated John Cena. I get why they're there. They're just not the kind of guys that are ever going to be my favorite wrestlers. But something about this worked. They defeat Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander looked like $1 million that was such a good spot for him. And I watched this with my dad, who does not watch. Dewdrop is never going back to Piper Niven. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But I think that, and that question came from our boy James. What's up here? Let me put your question on the screen. Let me actually acknowledge you. Let me acknowledge you. You the ones. No, I think that this Ciampa Miz thing is very interesting. They came out in matching ring attire. They look like a real tag team. I don't think this is just going to be a flash in the pan thing. I think Triple H is going to say, like, no, you guys are a friggin' tag team now. Let's do this for a while. And it's interesting to see. And I think it gives the Miz some more potential because his whole, rousting the lower mid card or celebrity rubs is not, something you can do all the time with the Miz. But if he wants to perform and he's on a regular contract right now, go with it. And I like the elevation of the Ciampa character right now too. It's working. Ezekiel's still in the hospital.
What's up with his dad?
H, get us out of this one, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. H, Triple H. Like, look, I get it. I'm cool with you still running through. I don't want you to just drop it cold because that's the dumb thing to do. Like, you inherited this storyline. I get that too. But Ezekiel has been super solid. I don't care if he comes back as Ezekiel or Elias or whatever, but let's finish this one up, guy. Let's just finish this one up. Let's get KO, out of this whole thing like you've wanted to. Let's, a little comic relief is fine. And Elias is a great performer in that regards. He's proven over and over again that he can do whatever you need, but his wrestling has been really good. Let's get this guy back in the ring under a character that we can just follow some real stories with. Pretty please. Then a couple of guys decide to get super real about their spots on the roster with this Drew McIntyre saying his back hurts because he's been carrying the division. KO wants to know if this is medieval times, but he starts talking about how, Drew's delusional if he thinks he's been carrying anything, and KO starts talking about how he's been carrying. They both got huge packages touting all of the accomplishments that they've had and the times that both of them actually did carry the company, in fact, to different levels of success. I think KO actually did a better job than Drew, but that's because KO had a better time to do it in than Drew did. So I love the whole, I don't care if you're a prize fighter or a sports entertainer, we're both wrestlers and let's wrestle. That was the first big use since Triple H has lifted the ban on saying the word wrestler. You have one of your top guys who's in a title program saying the word wrestler and putting emphasis on it, which directly combats some of the things that AEW was trying to make fun of WWE for. It's like, you know what? Sorry, but those jokes aren't going to work at AEW anymore because that era is gone. Here's one of your top guys saying we're wrestlers, let's wrestle. Like, he cut a Jon Moxley promo from Drew McIntyre, and I was impressed. I was like, oh shit, really? We're gonna do this, huh? I don't know. What do you think about this whole KO Drew moment of like them keeping it real about the plight of them coming? I'll tell you, I almost thought that it made KO a little too much of a baby face. I know they're trying to give him credibility, but like, you can't have dude saying this real ass shit and then not expecting to get a face pop.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is saying things like wrestler, this or that. You're peeling away a lot of Vince layers to how they're presented, and so I think a lot of it is these guys are. You're getting an idea that you're going to get a different version of these guys. These guys are, you're going to get the wrestler version or whatever. You're going to get the version of KO that you liked. You're going to get a version of Drew McIntyre that is going to be less cartoony, I think that, to me, that's just the gist of it. And they're doing all this stuff. I mean, I don't watch the show. I just see the clips on Twitter. I've been watching it. I mean, and I will. It's not like I don't watch WWE ever, but it's G1 season.
Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong, man.
But I think a lot of like that is a marquee feud with marquee talent that is being used to show, and because they also need to get you to reinvest in both of these characters as Triple H characters, but like they're being used to show like this is a new wrestling program.
Right. Well, I see. In my thought about this at the end of it was, and the reason why I really kind of wanted to stop on this one for a second was because this felt like a AEW setup. Like it's kind of cold, coming out of nowhere. It's two guys using kind of real stories and cutting promos with real heat, not at each other necessarily, but just about like their situations, and they're building character out of that. I thought the WWE did it better than a lot of the AEW times where they've tried to do similar things. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, I think, have been doing a similar thing and have been doing very, very well with it. But a lot of other people in AEW have been trying to do stuff like this, and it doesn't work as well. But Drew and KO kind of showed like, no, we can go out here and cut some realness and make it work. I do think that the one failed part of it, though, was KO looked a little babyface-esque for me, especially for my taste of wrestling, of liking some of the AEW stuff. Like, it was a very Eddie Kingston-esque type moment for KO where it's like, is he a heel? Is he a face? And in AEW, that doesn't matter. But in WWE, it's kind of like, I don't know. You guys might be blurring your own lines a little too much, just like with the Ronda Liv, Shayna Baszler thing. Like, who's the babyface? Who, like, that questioning might not work as well in WWE. Seth freaking over is what I'm going to call him now because he's so over. Riddle's cleared, Bedlam ensues, feud, blah, blah, blah. It made sense to slow down the feud when they did. We talked about it before. Nothing else to add other than this is the next part of it. They're going to keep it going. Riddle, Seth, it's fine. Veer Mahan squashes Bo Keller, whatever. Babyface battle. Now, this was an interesting choice. You've got not in the headline slot, like what they did on SmackDown. You've got this huge babyface battle between Lashley and AJ Styles. They absolutely 100% try to do this like an AEW match, minus the picture-in-picture. And I don't think it worked. I think AJ and Bobby both wrestled their asses off, but they're not familiar enough with each other. And maybe that's why that wasn't the headline match, is Triple H wants these guys to feel each other out. And it's weird to think that they never really had a big battle when Lashley was a heel. Because there was plenty of opportunity for that during that whole run that he had as a heel. But they haven't. Actually, no, because AJ was on the other show at that point in time, I think. Anyway, it wasn't a bad match, but of course, Bobby was a little blown up. He's not a 3-segment match guy. This was a 20-something minute match almost. I think 18 on the clock officially or something crazy.
Bobby's got a lot of meat on him. He needs a lot of oxygen.
Yeah. And the most interesting thing about it was they had this someone jumping the barricade thing. You don't really see very closely who it is.
You see who it is.
You see who it is on the internet clips, but on the actual show, I was watching on a big ass, television, and they did it well. They did it better this time, I think, of not showing who it was, not really acknowledging it, going quickly to a commercial break too, which was like, no, something really happened. We don't want you to see it. And they kind of, kerfluffled their way into a commercial break. Like Cole just kind of threw to it like, we'll be back. Like that was the way that would actually happen if someone actually jumped the barricade. Like you take the cameras off of it, you go to commercial, and then when you come back and you reset, you only mildly acknowledge it. Like, yeah, there was some craziness during the break, but this is what happened with the wrestling, because that's what you would do. Then later you find out it's Dexter Lumis. So I like the Dexter Lumis looming large with these things. Obviously, he would have been banned from ever attending a WWE event again if he was actually this guy. So it's funny that, I like trying to play it as a shoot, though. I like that they're trying something new. There's been jump the barricade stories before, but it's always been done way more tongue-in-cheek, where there's a spotlight on the guy and security standing around as they're sitting in the audience. I mean, they're really doing a good job of Dexter just like sneaking in, crowd's not really noticing, having a little bit of commotion happen, and then that's it. And then they don't acknowledge it and we move on. And I love it because I don't have the first friggin' clue where they're going with the storyline. Clearly it's got something to do with AJ, I think, which there's no built-in storyline for AJ and Sam Shaw or Dexter Lumis from what I know. Is there?
Yeah.
No. But this is the second time during an AJ moment. So I'm guessing
I think
it's got something to do with AJ Styles.
that would be a good program. Dexter
Yeah.
and AJ.
Again, this is when wrestling's good because I'm sitting here like this. I don't friggin' know.
Well, what about this idea? What if
What's James saying here? They sort of referenced Loomis tonight on NXT Heatwave. Indy Hartwell was holding a hand-drawn card from. I miss Index. I'm the only fan of Index, so I miss.
Are they still married
in real life?
Kayfabe.
I don't know. I don't know. That's what's good about this whole thing. We don't know what's happening at all with Dexter Lumis.
You know
He
what's
just keeps
happening.
getting arrested. He's building a criminal record. That's what's happening.
Yeah. he's gonna be hired eventually, but he won't actually be able to go into the arenas to work.
Correct. I mean,
but
what was that where all the lights went out and those guys invaded or whatever, that gimmick with T-Bar and all that crap?
It's the whole like
the last time they tried that didn't work. Okay, look, I'm not alone, Byron.
What?
James loves Index too.
No, Index, yeah, who doesn't love Index? They're great.
Okay, Index was great. It was the
I
other
think
pairing that was terrible.
This whole thing is basically I'm gonna say that Kenny Omega is showing up on Wednesday and Johnny Gargano is going to show up with Dexter Lumis.
The professor clearly told you that was not the case. There is no Kenny Omega showing up this week. That's what the professor says.
Casey is running distraction for Kenny himself on a personal mission. And I think two things are going to happen. I'm calling my shot.
They've really telegraphed it if it is Kenny at this point in time.
Which I think is great because it's going to build anticipation, but also like if it isn't and it's something cool, then it makes it better. But I'm just saying, I know
who I think it is, but who do you think it is?
I think it's Kenny. And then if it's not Kenny,
I think it's MJF.
With the Bucks? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot.
How crazy would it be though? Like if you really wanted to pop a crowd and just give people a holy fuck moment, like MJF comes out as their partner, and they're like, "Well, Kenny wasn't ready. We found somebody else who's been sitting around." Like no, and doing it the complete AEW way with like no real storyline. They're not going to be a faction or whatever, or maybe they actually win the whole thing, and there's all sorts of tension with the rogue guy MJF teaming up with the Bucks. Like, how much fun would that be? And then Kenny really does come back, and then you get a MJF Kenny feud.
Yeah, because you gotta bring MJF back. You have to bring him back to TV, but you can't set him in a direct line to Punk. You know, you have to
when you've already done Punk MJF. You don't want to do that yet. That's not the thing.
MJF is supposed to take the title off of Punk or whatever, but you know, at this point, who knows what's going to happen with anything?
I'm just saying, like, look, the Young Bucks are EVPs at the company. If the whole MJF thing is a work or has been worked out or settled, you got to think that those guys want that dude in their program. Come on, like it would be fire. That's my outside the box, 7% chance prediction. Most likely it's friggin' Kenny, and they just have telegraphed the shit out of it to get the publicity and the promotion out of it, and everyone will just pop fine. Like I won't be upset if it's Kenny, but man, if it was MJF, come on, dude, that's some TV. That's
you get the heel Bucks. But then how does MJF and the Bucks line up against?
But that's why you're asking the question. That's the exact reason to do it, because you have no idea how that's going to go. And that's part of what AEW is missing. Like when you had that Ricky Starks moment, you loved it because you didn't see it coming and you didn't expect it and you don't know where it's going to go. That's what all these promotions need more of. And I'm not saying doing it in a hot shot kind of way. Like, do it. Have the weird tension with those guys, like having this third man for a while. And like, I guess he draws or whatever. And you could play a lot of weird tension with the Bucks. Those guys can do funny stuff like that. And with MJF too, I mean, you'd have the hottest promo segments around. Then you have Kenny come back. Oh my God. Do I think that AEW can pull that off? No. James, why you got to depress me? Of course I don't think they can pull it off. I don't think that I'm a writer. They're not.
I think I think they can pull off all these epic angles as long as it's like beat their podcast, whatever, being the elite level of production value and storytelling.
Look, let
But
me
I
just
think
wrap
they
up
do
Raw
some
so
great stuff.
let me wrap up Raw real quick because I want you to
But I think
talk about
Gargano.
AEW.
I think that Gargano is part of the Dexter Loomis thing. I think they have to be building something, and if they hinted Index, they have to be getting the band back together, and then all of a sudden Austin Theory has something to do. Maybe, I don't know, but
Maybe.
Gargano.
Well, this was an interesting look for Austin Theory too. First, Dakota Kai defeated Dana Brooke. I felt for Dakota Kai. Austin Theory defeats Dolph Ziggler.
Wait, did you say
Dolph
Dana
doesn't
Brooke was
see it
wrestling on live TV again?
again? They took all the Cleveland people and they gave 2 weeks in a row because they were all on TV last week because it was Cleveland.
Yeah.
So Dana Brooke got another. Anyway, Austin Theory defeats Ziggler, which is fine. Like this was kind of what we said about the shin skating, and like you can't hot shot Dolph into a bigger position. You just need to keep putting him back out there on TV for a while, win or loss, and just saying, hey, remember Dolph Ziggler, he can wrestle. And this was a good for him. I really like Graves saying that, like, is Dolph Ziggler the Vince Neil? Because he's, living off his past glory or whatever, which is exactly kind of what they're doing and exactly kind of who he is. So yeah, play the gimmick. I'm not a huge Dolph Ziggler fan, but if you're going to roll with that angle, I think that's kind of fun. It's better than anything he's been getting for a long time. So we'll see what they do with old Captain Zigzag there. But it was interesting because it was like, no, Austin Theory, what the statement was, Austin Theory is still one of our top guys. Like we did not give up on the Austin Theory thing. We cooled it for a week or two for whatever reasons or whatever he was nursing or appearances he was making. But yes, Austin Theory is still one of our top guys because there's been a lot of questions about that. And I think Triple H had to answer that question. Like, I know this was, father-in-law's thing, but he's a WWE superstar. He did well with his spot, so let's do it. The show, my overall thoughts about Raw, 3 hours is still too long, even for Triple H. With a roster that really needs new things built, they can filling this time even better than I think they did this week. What was the Sarno question there?
Oh, James Sarno was like, Byron, you made a really great prediction and point. I agree with you, and it's probably going to happen. You're correct. I don't know why Justin
that's how he said
wants
it.
to disagree.
That's not.
That's how I read it.
Said it. No, that's not that factual. But we'll go with it. It's fine.
Well, the English language is subjective, mostly.
Just when you use it. All right. Let's talk about AEW for a minute because.
Aren't you going to a show?
I am going to the Cleveland show. Not tomorrow, but next Wednesday after. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you're not going to see the match. You're not going to see Kenny come back.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
You're going to be ringside.
That's not who I would go to see. I want to see who do I want to see? I want to see Thunder Rosa. I want to see Wardlow. I'd love to see Death Triangle do something. Hopefully they'll be having like a semifinal match in that thing next week, but I don't know if they will or not. I want to see Sonny Kiss, but we'll that minute. All right, Dynamite coffin match. Darby and Brody King start off hot, right with attacks, blood immediately. Excalibur explains the setup for the match the way it should have actually been, which I thought was hilarious. We talked about this last week. Excalibur explained it the way that we said it should have been. Like, he says, oh, this match came about because of a scuffle that went down in here and here. Now Darby's got a chance to prove it. Like, yeah. Too bad you guys didn't set it up that way on TV and it was brawling for the match. Made absolutely no fucking sense. Sorry. I'm a little worked up about that one. And then the fact that Excalibur did that just rubbed it in my face. Like, bro, don't even try to retcon this crap now. Like, just because you listen to the podcast, don't be trying to come back all high and mighty and fix some shit.
Excalibur, anyway, thanks for listening to the podcast and not telling everyone about it, by the way.
It was a great match until God, who's the dude with the face paint that really was never any good? that just kind of shows up at matches every now and then, makes everything stink.
You.
Oh, Stink. That's right. Sting comes out of a
No.
coffin. It was
Sting
a
is a
really good
legend.
match.
We've been over this.
Brody's just like, dude, Brody had 2 tacks in his the entire match. It was awesome. I was just thinking about Casey the whole time. Like, I hope Casey has some respect for both of these guys now. Though I don't know that Casey ever had any issue with Brody King. I seem to recall having some issues with Darby from time to time. Anyway, Darby wins, choking out Brody with his own chain. Darby stays 3-0 in coffin matches. I just liked it. It was fun. It was great, and it was a hot start.
Great
Mox
finish,
sounds
great
like
match, but also the
Go
storytelling of it. Darby beat Brody using the same tactic, choking him out over the rope, but with the chain.
But with the
Darby
chain.
had to be resourceful, but Brody got his comeuppance, and everyone looked great. And how great was it? The reveal of Sting in the coffin.
Nope.
It was great,
Nope,
but
not
also,
nope.
but I will say that the
greatness
production,
involved.
it's a little. We can all agree that Sting rules, but look,
nope,
there's a
no
comment in.
there.
But the whole thing with Sting coming out and facing off with Malachi Black, they did not do a good job of pacing the match in that moment to show it. Like they tried to cut to them, but then too much stuff is going on, and it's just like you were talking about a few weeks ago. WWE matches, you write out your match, you have your spot, you do a big spot, and then you're doing a replay afterwards. You're going to commercial, coming back, and all this and that. Like you work a TV show, and both of them were all bloody and just hyped up in the coffin match. So who knows if they just skipped a thing and blah blah blah. But that was a missed opportunity. That was a missed storytelling point.
Yeah, it was, and a little bit of this is the difference in the way that AEW and WWE use their refs. Like there was just some blatant ref talking in WWE this week, actually in both promotions, but it was more effective in WWE. Sadly, those guys, like, again, just like we were talking about with Michael Cole with Vince constantly in his ear, the refs and WWE, same thing, whole time. Like, make sure they go to this spot. Nope. Tell them it's commercial break. Go to this. Like, slow it down. Blah blah. Like, constantly. There's way less of that in AEW, from what I understand. It's really like tell them to get to the closing spots. Tell them to go home, and then tell them this. Like, there's really not as much. They get, and it's usually all in the last quarter of the match that the refs are really getting chatted up at AEW, from what I hear. Anyway, coffin match, blah blah blah. Mox cuts this promo where he sounds like a Modelo commercial talking about the fighting spirit of this, that, and the other thing. It's standard Mox stuff, whatever. Who will the Young Bucks partner be? Kenny could be the right surprise call, leaving Hangman out in the cold. I don't know. It's a decent story for the Kenny feud. I still think it's better with MJF. It's whatever. Now, let's talk about La Facción Ingobernables.
Los Ingobernables de Facción AEW.
Yes. See the first sentence there, Byron? What is the first? Can you read that first sentence?
No.
It says, "You're right, Justin."
That's weird.
Yeah, it's not weird at all. That's pretty much 80% of the show.
I've never heard those words in that order before.
No, under Vince, it was becoming overproduced a bit. And there's still some issues with some of that. But anyway, Rush and Andrade defeat the guys who are not allowed to win. And it was not a 4-star match. But let them do this a couple more times and it'll be ridiculous. That was kind of my opinion of it. Like, okay, I see this. I saw all the potential here. And like every week and every part of a feud doesn't have to be solid. But like, Rush is a ridiculous base for Phoenix. Give them a couple more matches like this in this format with Andrade. Like Andrade wrestles a very WWE style still. He combines a little bit of Japanese strong style with a very WWE style. He's not a luchador. Like, he can do some Lucha Libre. He understands it. He knows how to work the left side, which is great. But that's not really his style. And I like that him and Penta kind of foiled each other a little bit, but Penta didn't have to do a bunch of basing, especially not for Andrade. So I like this look and this style, especially for Penta more. And I think you give Rush and Phoenix a couple more matches like this, and it's going to be outstanding. It's going to be ridiculous. Pentagon unmasked from being tied to the rope was, good story elements, especially for a Lucha Libre thing, is like reminds people, hey, you're watching a slightly different version of all this stuff. And then the extra mask being thrown to the crowd, that was the highlight of the match because I wasn't expecting it. And Penta's like, dude, I could have sold that shit for $300-400.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
I don't think it was supposed to happen like that. And everyone's chanting, give it back. And that dude's like,
no.
If you just got a Pentagon mask, you're not throwing it. F all of you guys.
Ring used on a TV show?
Yeah.
That's at least like $400 to buy off of him.
That whole crowd would have had to beat me down to throw that back. And I have the utmost respect for Pentagon and wrestling in general and Lucha Libre. And I would have, in fact, you know what I would have done? I would have caught that thing out of the air, turned around, and walked right out of the arena with it and not even stayed for the rest of the night. I'd been like, nope, got what I came for, guys. Peace out, y'all.
You know your guys are losing, and there's a arena full of people who are going to try to fight you for that mask.
Yeah, like, look, my take on Andrade, James, in AEW is that not that it hasn't been done right, is that it hasn't been done yet. We keep getting these breaks in his story and his flow and everything, and it's like, okay, we're going to do the Death Triangle thing versus Andrade Unlimited or La Facción Ingobernables or whatever the fuck they're calling themselves. Let's do it. Like, let's actually do this now. Let's feud it out a little bit. Let's let him get some squash matches and whatever he needs to do, but let's actually see what we're going to get from Andrade. He's a guy for years who has had limitless upside, and it just hasn't ever gotten there yet. And the promise of AEW has not fulfilled what the Andrade of it is, at this point. So we'll see. Like the Andrade pinning Phoenix here too. I know Kate that, but at this point, might as well use the Lucha Bros losing as more storyline because do it all the time anyway, and let's build up to something. Let's hopefully with the white guy coming back next week, they'll actually get in the white guy in the Death Triangle, the Güero. Maybe that's the only way that they're allowed to get a win.
Do you think Dragon Lee is part of the faction, or is that's just like a one-time thing?
I'm going to say both. I'm going to say it's probably a regular thing, but not a permanent thing. That just seems to be the way, doesn't it? I mean, even the case with Death Triangle. Like, it's a thing, and it's an always thing, but it's not a permanent everyday thing.
Yeah, by the way,
Pentagon
Penta Escurdo is gone now. He's back to being Pentagon.
Maybe because Triple H took over, they're making changes at AEW. I don't know.
Maybe I think they realized that they gave him this super badass gimmick, but he's just going to keep losing anyway. So
why stick him with that? I don't know.
And then if I'm Penta, by the way, like, why would you wear
my hope was that he was going to do Penta Oscuro like, Finn Balor's Demon, and that would be his unbeatable version, like his leveled up final boss version, but that didn't friggin' happen.
But they make so much money selling gear. Like, he needs to wear a slightly different mask every single show. That's like another, like we were saying, another 400 or so just down the drain if you're not doing that.
Truth. Oh well. Maybe he's got a sale on masks now from Penta Oscuro. Maybe we should make a phone call. How many times have you heard me say the workhorsemen are fire? Like, they're the shit on the indies.
All the time.
It's happened a lot of times. So we got one of the workhorsemen this week, and he was forced to job mercilessly to fucking Mattelsaurus. Oh,
He did a good
good job, and Anthony's whatever. Anyway, don't hold that match against that guy. Anthony Henry is actually a super solid worker.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, pulled apart backstage, blah blah blah. Miro the Redeemer. What? I'm still just not. I get it. I 100% get it. I'm just not feeling it. They need to go ahead and accelerate this storyline too, because I'm not feeling it yet. I don't see it. I get it.
I like it. I love all Miro's segments, but I thought it was weird that Julia just showed up. By the way, Julia has a new evolution of her character that was on Elevation on Monday. It's pretty dope. So she has new gear. She's not a cheerleader type anymore.
Well, I would hope not. Now that she's in House of Black, that wouldn't make a lot of sense unless they're real kinky.
Well, but also like she was working a lot better, but her finish, she it used to be very deliberate, and she would like hook an arm or whatever, but it would when she like drop or hook someone into the rings of Saturn or something. But this one was a lot more natural, just like it wasn't positioned in the center of the ring, and she just kind of like went and hooked it on her opponent, who had a cool name. Oh no, am I gonna forget?
Dollface Danger. What was the opponent's name? Oh, you're gonna have to look it up.
I'm gonna look it up.
This is so sad.
Listen, I've been working today.
While you're looking that up, I'll just say this about Miro. Like, I like Miro. I'm a fan. I just don't know that I like. I like him when he's a little more tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
I'm just, Wait, Byron, is this true?
Free range Kara.
Okay, that's worse than Dollface Danger. I was joking.
She immediately got over with the crowd based on her name. Yeah,
based
so
on
Julia
it being
won.
That awful.
Yeah.
Is this thing that you sent me in the private chat true?
That's what I read on Fightful Select.
I didn't talk to those people this week. Interesting. Well, maybe we'll talk about that next week. I don't even want to drop that yet. Okay. I'm going to find out what's really going on there first, and then maybe we'll have a thing.
That would be kind of cool. I think it's also kind of funny, but I don't want to get into it.
People got to lose baby weight.
Yeah, but
2 years later.
Yeah, but I just want to say, like, if you're making, I'm going to give it away, but I think
don't give it away. Save it. All right. Anyway, Will Hobbs tells QT, don't let your problem be my problem. I liked it. Short, sweet storytelling. Moving on. I don't like the QT's in the mix, but I have a feeling now with QT's new position, he's going to be putting himself over a lot. Jay Lethal, Satnam, and Sanjay confronted by Wardlow and FTR. Sanjay couldn't find a table. Really weird segment. Like all of these people in this somehow rematch incoming somewhere down the line. This was a fail. Sanjay was trying to make something cool out of this. This is Sanjay writing. I'm not behind it. And again, I like all these people, so hopefully they get that one ironed out. The Jericho Appreciation Society's Dragon Slayer, along with the I'm Gonna Choke You Out girl, which is all I will ever call her now. I'm just gonna call her I'm Gonna Choke You Out, and here we go. Like, hey, maybe Tony listened to the show. Just keep doing it. Just keep pushing it down our throats. Dragon Slayer, and I'm Gonna Choke You Out. Just keep doing it over and over and over again. This is where AEW needs to gird up their loins and be WWE. Force it down our throats. That's the only way it's going to work. Ricky Starks defeats Aaron Solo. Feuding with the Factory is awful.
Yeah,
I want more from Ricky Starks than this. I get it. I get that they're just getting it going. I hate it. QT's writing it. It's garbage. I don't like it.
Yeah, but here's what I appreciated about that. Ricky still got to do, and I watched the promo on the road too, and I think they put on the show. Ricky still gets to do his full-on program sort of stuff. They get the TV promo, they get the big dramatic pre-tape promo, and it does make a little bit of sense in that they are,
It
or
doesn't.
there's
Any
a
sense
connection.
because it's cooling the crowd. It is. You can't tell me it's not cooling the crowd. It's cooling the crowd. It's not the way to go.
I mean, it's out of nowhere, but I think it's better than them not doing anything with Starks and Hobbs. And I like that and I think, they're trying to prolong it, and this is a way to do it. Let's see what happens. But
I mean, look,
Solo,
they got a big roster. They can do better by Ricky Starks. It's a hot program, and I know that they're going somewhere with it. But this is where AEW fails in the storytelling. The middle part of their story is going to fall apart here before they get to what they know they're going to do is the big part of the story. They don't know how to string it along with the Hobbs Starks hook story. They don't know how to do this stuff. This is where they fail.
I don't know.
They're not doing. They didn't do right by Ricky this week. I'm not saying that the overall plan won't do right by Ricky. I'm saying this particular week, for me, just a flat out fail. They didn't do right by Ricky this week.
I don't know. I get it. I mean, I was into it. I mean, I was surprised, but then if you're gonna have Starks do, a squash, they did it with someone he has background with, and they kind of pulled that up, and like I knew they were tag partners, and that got me a little invested. And Starks cleanly won really easily. And if it was super competitive for the sake of having a competitive match with a guy who's barely on dark, that would be something. But I feel like they squeezed a little bit of story out of it, and Starks won in a way that he got to look really strong. It gave him a platform instead of just a nameless jobber. He got to do doing the program the way they did. Starks got to do the things that show him off the most.
Maybe.
So
I don't know.
And then he also went over on the whole
I get it, but they lost my interest a bit with it, man. And that's all I can tell you.
Hobbs broke the TV. Did you not see that? That was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I again, I'm not saying it's not going somewhere. I'm just saying it wasn't like and got to get the factory out of it. This next segment I actually liked a little bit. Stokely tries to give the Ass Boys a card, and the line of the night drops. Grandpa Ass, go get some insurance catering. Awesome. Loved it. I liked the whole Billy's not having it. He's missing the Acclaimed because the Ass Boys lost his signature match or whatever. The Danhausen interrupting. And I got to the end of this segment, and after the whole Ricky Starks thing, I literally said to myself, okay, at least there is some storytelling going on in the undercard. Like the whole Ass Boys Acclaimed thing works. It's been working. The dumpster match was fire. Yeah. It was a dumpster fire.
Well, speaking of that, I think AEW has gotten back on track with their big stories, with their main upper card stories, with people coming back from injuries. But what we're seeing this past week is they are establishing. They are refilling the cupboard in the lower card too.
No. What we're seeing this week is them trying to do that. But like this next segment with Ari Daivari and the Trustbusters felt so NXT 2.0 second match of the night, like not worthy of being on AEW TV. So I just was just like, I don't get it. I get the whole angle. He's the richest man in pro wrestling. Blah blah blah. We'll see where they go. We got to get to let's leave that one for now. Let's get to Rampage because there's a lot more to say about that particular angle. Jade Cargill defeats Madison Rayne. Look, this was kind of fun to actually watch wrestling school. You got to watch wrestling school here, guys. This was like watching people at the PC, and I didn't have a problem with that. This was more than leading by Madison Rayne. This was Madison literally telling Jade every step of the entire match what to do, move for move. They were a little slow. They had a little bit of slop in there. But this was, honest to God, Jade's first real full-length match as a solo. And it worked. You could see Jade actually getting better in the progress of this match. This is 100% why they hired Madison Rayne. This is 100% already worth her entire year's salary. She does this 2 or 3 times with Jade. What you're going to get from Jade, I guarantee you, is going to improve leaps and bounds. She needs somebody that has the patience to just work a little slower with her, walk her through some stuff, not really care about how they look. Like Madison Rayne was not at any point in this match trying to get herself over. She was 100% there to make Jade better. It was literally the audience watching wrestling school, and that shit has to happen every now and then. It was.
I think
perfect.
though, from an entertainment perspective, it's the same as the Starks match. I think it's the exact same. Like, what's Madison Rain? Like, I get, like, we know it, and the value is there, and exactly how you explained. But someone else tuning in, it's like Madison Rain. I haven't seen Madison Rain on TV.
Oh
in
no,
10 years,
I mean the
blah, blah,
crowd.
Why does this matter?
I think the crowd was way hotter because no one was there for Madison Rain. They were there for Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
And you still had the Athena run-in. You still had the big storyline as part of it. That's part of what I don't feel like you got in the Ricky thing. Like you get a little bit of the Hobbs thing, but not enough. Not enough.
Hobbs saying, "Don't make your problem be my problem." I thought, and then he smashed the TV. Now I'm like, for next week, what's Hobbs going to do? Who's Hobbs going to beat up?
That didn't give. I know, but it didn't give Ricky enough rub. Whereas in Jade's match, the difference between the two is Jade still got all the rub. Jade still got all the love, all the heat. Crowd was into it.
Ricky won a squash match and went over the whole factory and was in the crowd doing his taunt.
Nah, I wasn't feeling it. Anyway, Toni Storm is promoted to #1 contender since Chris Statlander's injured. Thunder Rosa supports her. What about the title match? Maybe not so much. I kind of like that part of it. We'll talk about it some other time kind of vibe. Like, let's just be friends today. In other words, like, bitch, I ain't fighting you right now. So you can think whatever you want. Like, you can be my friend or you get nothing. I kind of like that whole vibe. I think it actually helps both of them. It creates, again, exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if Tony's going to one day just be like, Tony Storm gets the belt. We don't know how the thing's going to fall apart. And I love them being a tag team. I think they have a tag team women's title run in their future somewhere down the line. I think there's money in it. There's money in Thunderstorm, which is good for both of them, because as singles competitors feuding and one of them having the belt and then the other one dropping the belt and whatnot, I don't see that there's as much longevity for either of them as there could be with them being a solid and occasional tag team over the next 4 or 5 years. Like, I think they could really get a long run out of Thunderstorm, back and forth, stay top players, stay top names. And it's one of the things that AEW does need to learn how to do, is how to build up a star and keep them a star, and not just have them fade away when they're not Chris Jericho, who knows how to reinvent themselves every week. So I liked it. Mox taps Lionheart, Chris Jericho, the last survivor of the Heart Dungeon. Post-match, Jericho Appreciation Society with Blackpool Combat Club, with Kingston and Ortiz, Donnybrook, blah, blah, blah. Cult of Personality hits. Rest is history. We get CM Punk clearing the ring, the big face-off. Mox gives Punk the finger. Unification match incoming. You get it. You've been waiting for it. You got it. How'd you feel about it? Did you care?
I cared. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I thought they hit all the notes, especially the Mox Punk confrontation. I thought they did really well with that. I also just Punk had the biggest pop of the night, and they gave him the ring at the end, so it was great. But also, like, I thought it was really well done in that I was expecting Bryan Danielson to run down, and I think they were teasing that as hard as they could without actually telling you Bryan Danielson to be next. Everyone wait for him, and then next thing you know, you hear, Cult of Personality, and then everyone just literally shits in their own mouths.
Yeah, look, I think a real Bryan Danielson heel turn probably has to happen so that we can get to the Bryan Danielson Punk match. I think if you do the babyface versus tweener thing, it's a fail. I think they know that. I think they know the money is in CM versus a heel D-Bry, with possibly, Danielson going over as a heel, and then you have more chase from Punk and more reasons to invest in Punk for a whole nother year. Yeah. I think that's the real money down the line, and seeing how they get there, I think this was a telegraph that that's what's going to happen down the line. Let's see, where are we at here? The violence begets violence thing. Moving on to, did I lose a page in my notes? I don't give a shit. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Rampage. it was interesting. We got this Bryan Danielson says some things about violence begets violence, and someone's going to have to retire him in the ring because he won't quit. Then he tries super duper hard to put over Daniel Garcia, who says has been a top prospect for ages. Does he want to be the best technical sports entertainer or wrestler? You know, the whole time I'm watching this segment, and I get to the end, and it's not that Bryan Danielson didn't do what he was supposed to do, but I'm just like, oh my God, I just watched the first 45 minutes of Raw. Why did that happen? We started off with an in-ring promo. It was working really hard and really long and very long-winded to try to get over Daniel Garcia, who is over. It's fine. Like I think he's in the right spot. And I'm not saying it was even the wrong call. It's just like, here I am all this time, and I'm like, every week I'm saying like what things that AEW I think should be doing for storytelling. And here they are, and they do one, and it just fails for me. I'm just like, oh no, this is like not the right thing. This feels way too much like a really long-winded episode of Raw all of a sudden. And by the way, this is my least favorite episode of Rampage since it debuted, and I'll tell you more about that why. It's just a fucking horrible episode. This was part of it, and just the start. Then we get Taimelo Guevara.
She got her name back. Not the Guevara name, but Conti was, by the way, if anyone is wondering, Conti was her ex-husband's name.
Yeah, so, and now she's married to somebody else. So now she's Ty Guevara Mello, whatever. Anyway, they defeat, Ty and Sammy defeat Dante Martin and Sky Blue. It was fun. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably one of the better things on the episode. Like, look, Dante and Sammy are great. I think finally some of the Sammy knowing how to work with female wrestlers and train female wrestlers is paying off here for Ty, which is great because Sammy literally knows all the stuff that she's missing from her game. Like, she can do some ground stuff, but she misses a step on her running the ropes every now and then. She's a little clunky with some of her high spots. She needs to learn how to smooth some of that out. She needs to learn how to base a little bit. Like, and that's one of the things about women's wrestling that a lot of people don't understand is that the way that women's wrestling works best is that all of them have to know how to base 30% of the time. It's just kind of required for female wrestling to look good. So hopefully he can give her some of that. But that was fun. God damn it. I love it when they just let Pentagon speak Spanish.
Yeah.
It's great. It's totally great. That promo didn't need to be anything else. He actually cuts good promos. Like, if you know any Spanish, the promos are actually good. His pacing is good. His emphasis on certain things and elements is good. They always sound like fire. They always sound like he's going to fucking murder somebody in their sleep. Like, you can't. It's great. So next week we get Death Triangle in action. And like I said before, hopefully this means that with the white guy there, they're allowed to get a win. Parker Boudreaux of Ari Davari's Trust Busters squashes, and I can't believe I have to say this, squashes Sonny Kiss. Wouldn't mind saying this if we were talking about an episode of Dark or Elevation or some Spark or whatever the heck these other shows are. This sucks so bad. All this time we've been wanting to see more of Sonny on the big TV shows, and then this is what we get. We get Sonny just totally squashed. JR calling him a her. And if you didn't know, Sonny is very feminine but prefers gender pronouns. Sonny's take.
Sonny goes by her. People call Sonny her.
Sonny has told us directly that he goes by he, him pronouns, that he is just a gay man and not, an feminine gay man, but not going by her. And yeah, maybe now he does.
It might be different now.
I don't know. No one else on the commentary said it. And in fact, I think Excalibur used a they instead of used a gender neutral pronoun. Anyway, it's just like when I think that you don't want to do it in this context. Yeah, I agree, Paula. Paula agrees.
I mean, I knew that was the match from the very beginning. It's just set up.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I just would have liked to have seen a little more. And again, the JR referring to Sonny as a her in this context instead of he or they, I think also hurts the effectiveness of what Sonny is in a faction, because Sonny is going to wrestle men. Sonny wrestles in the men's division. Sonny is a man and identifies as a man in the men's division and has said that very clearly, and doesn't want to be, one of these, exotico type wrestlers that gets put in a women's division. That's not Sonny. And Sonny can go with the dudes all day long. There's nobody in the mid card that Sonny can't hang with. Like, I want to see Sonny versus Dante Martin. That's the match I want to see. Anyway, and we'll get to the swerve at the end here in a minute. But Gun Club defeats Beardhausen, which Eric the Redbeard looked great. Oh my God. If you ever thought that Eric Redbeard wasn't actually a star, like, dude, Brody King and Eric Redbeard, never guys that I thought a ton of, and their stock in AEW, as far as I'm concerned, after their recent performances, way up. I don't normally even like that kind of wrestler, either of them, but both of them, absolutely. Whatever they got coming next, I will watch it. I'm sold. The Ass Boys need to toughen up. Loved all of it. Swerve in Our Glory will put the tag titles against Private Party, since no one ranked will face them. I liked that promo, even though I don't know what it does to elevate either side. I just was entertained by it. But then when I thought about it afterwards, I was like, that's not very good storytelling. You're saying that basically your next match doesn't matter as the tag champs. You're also saying your next opponent isn't shit. Like, you're not putting them over or yourself over. Like, I didn't get it, but also I was totally entertained. So maybe I'm the mark that causes those kind of problems. I don't know what you think about that one, Byron, but I thought it was interesting. And it was also interesting to see Swerve, while here's Swerve with Keith Lee over here, while his homies in the Hit Row are on the other show that night.
Yeah, that's it. That was interesting.
But he's having this small potatoes moment going up against guys who are not even in top 5, while his former team is getting the biggest push of the week.
Yeah, but I think you look at it like in the AEW pond, the Gun Club kids are, they are someone to work, and that you will have something to do. They've been having storylines go for a while, and you got Billy Gunn involved, so it's better than just not having something to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, it could all be interesting.
And those guys are on the verge too of something. I mean,
I think what we really need to see is, I want to go back to that era right before the big TV title kerfluffle with Scorpio and the back and forth, like what they were kind of doing with the tag teams then. And it feels like a typical normal fall cycle for AEW. Hopefully they fall back into it again, where the mid card kind of irons itself out. They've introduced all the new stuff that they're trying to introduce, and then we get back to this kind of back and forth, tag team stuff in the mid card. Because I think that's where AEW is really strong when they're doing that, and they have the teams for it. So let's do it. Let's get back to that. Hook says, "Yep, FTW belt is open challenge," and the reality, Zach Clayton from some Jersey show. Byron, you know about all this stuff. You take this.
I have something to say, but I wanted to get your reaction to it first.
I think my reaction was exactly what the rest of the crowd's reaction was, is like, bro, we don't fucking care. Like, shut up and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else you introduce it. Like, I think it was fine for what it's supposed to be, but it's like, bro, you're not Logan Paul.
I'm sorry. I would never in a million years put that comparison on whatsoever. I thought it was when he came on TV and he cut a promo, I thought, oh my God, that's so great for him. He did such a great job. But it wasn't great. But I get the intention behind it. Like, there is.
Yeah, I don't know that there was a better way to do it, so I can't.
Right.
I can't.
Well, there's a better way. You do another draft on the promo and rewrite it a little bit, And then there's a lot of stuff. Like
maybe they did, and he just didn't do it that way.
but it's like, okay, so let's get Hook needs to go over. Zach Clayton is a great person for Hook to go over. He's a big muscle bound dude who can look strong and intimidating, and it's gonna make Hook look good when he beats him in like 3 minutes, entrances included. It's
But
like,
did anybody in that crowd have any clue who Zach Clayton was?
no one does. No one does. No.
Like, even in
And
his own world, nobody knows, right?
he's
Like, you and I know because we have to know, but does anybody else know?
a little bit, but no, he's like you. But he didn't pull. He's been working. I would think AEW fans would know him more from his AEW appearances than from the show. But it's just, I get the whole thing, New Jersey, New York, but you have this guy who looks like he works out in a gym in Connecticut or something, come out and say the God's country, New Jersey. Like, the irony of that statement was not in the delivery, and it doesn't make sense otherwise. And
No, not a bit.
and it's like blah blah blah, New Jersey versus New York, and it's like no one cared. He cut like a wrestler cosplay promo. Is basically like he came up and he's like, I'm gonna do a wrestling promo, and he's good. He can do that, but that's like you're holding your hairbrush in the mirror sort of promo.
Byron, you have to read this tweet because we are in fact a Lucha Underground podcast on the Lucha Central Podcast Network. So
That's
read
true.
this tweet that came directly from Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground. What up? Good to see you, by the way, recently. Or somewhat recently. What up, y'all? Fuck Kenny Omega, Cross and Cage are the future of wrestling. And I want to say to that...
that no, in fact, it's Jake Hagar.
Jake Hagar, who is the longest reigning Lucha
Underground
champion
of time. Yeah, because he's had it for 4 years now, right?
No one's unseated him.
No one has taken it off of the wonderful Jake. It's sitting in a briefcase that Kross used to own. Is this a joke? There's a punchline to this, right?
Okay, what's the punchline?
That, hey, what did Owen Hart die from? I don't know. We'll wait and see if Parker laugh out loud, JC. It's true. He's the longest reigning Lucha Underground champion. No one's defeated him yet.
Yeah. He puts butts in seats. You go to a Lucha Libre show to see a 6-foot tall white guy do a clothesline.
Yeah, look, I still liked him when he was there. I thought he was a really nice guy, and he was just not maybe the best choice for the writers to have picked. Wasn't his fault though.
I thought he did a great job, but I also think like that wasn't the end of a story. Like that was a thing to get heat, so you watch like Aerostar pin him the next season or something, you know?
Right. All right, so let's finish off talking about AEW by talking about the misuse of another Lucha Underground star who was known as Exolicious, now Sonny Kiss, the Concrete Rose, one of our friends of the show and our highest rated ever episode, by the way, still.
Sonny rules.
Sonny rules. Orange Cassidy defeats Ari Daivari, the trust fund pee drinking step cousin of
It's
Daivari.
not the same guy.
But can I want it to be because he's doing the gimmick?
I don't know. No, the gimmick he's doing is he's doing TK. He's trolling. It's a TK trolling gimmick.
I get it, but it's so. Anyway, Sonny Kiss dick kicks Orange Cassidy after the match. And apparently joins the Trust Busters in a swerve that no one cares about now, since Sonny has gotten no TV time. And everybody's just going to be so scared of the formidable person who's just joined the faction that they got squashed by earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
Even if they explain it as, oh no, Sonny did the job so that you wouldn't see the swerve coming, then set up that storyline.
No,
somehow.
They Daivari, I think said something to Sonny before that match. I think Sonny very clearly isn't on the level that Parker Boudreaux or whatever is supposed to be on. So I think that all makes sense. I think the squash makes sense. Blah blah blah. I think I
It
didn't
doesn't
like
make
that.
sense.
I didn't like.
Jocelyn Baby
I didn't
is
like that.
hiring the
I,
talent that his already existing hire and talent can just destroy.
I don't know. I think it's
It made me
to
mad.
me. I think it's interesting in that I want to know what's going on with it. I think it's
Oh.
not. I think it's not like a main event level thing, but
I
it's
don't.
it makes
Main
me.
event or not, it just is an absolute fail in my opinion because of those two factors. You don't squash that person and then try to create relevance out of a swerve and a heel turn. Also, on top of all that, we've just been told by Jade and Tony and the company that Sonny is not the right person to play heel as a baddie, but Sonny is the right person to be in this shitty fucking
Sonny
angle.
wouldn't. I think Sonny wouldn't. I don't know. I think Sonny would have been cool as a baddie, but I think it's a little more interesting now where like it's not conventional and you want to know at least I want to know where is it
Look,
where
all
is
I
it
can
going.
say is if it gets Sonny on the TV shows, I'm still going to champion it. I'm going to watch all these stupid Trustbuster segments now because I'm a huge fan of Sonny. Sonny rules, as Lucha Underground is saying there. Like, Sonny's the shit. I can only hope that Sonny is not overshadowed by Parker or Ari, or definitely won't be by Slim J or whatever the other one is.
Yeah, that guy is gonna I've read good things about that guy, and I want to give this group I want to give them
I get it, but look, this is your headline moment, and
yeah,
and I don't think it was there yet. I don't think that you could do this yet, and I think it's way too NXT 2.0 for this show in this format. They're going to have to work real fast to find something to get this over. Maybe they should be feuding with the Acclaimed or something. I don't know, but like,
yeah,
I'm not buying some of the QT Marshall stuff, and I have a feeling this is another QT Marshall written angle.
I get all
if
the
he's
QT
getting Sonny on
Marshall stuff.
TV, great, but I'm just not buying a lot of the QT stuff.
I get QT doing matches and programs with people that are green, just like the Madison Rain thing. I get
It's his
that.
job.
I
That's
don't
what he's
really want
supposed
to
to
see
do.
him win matches though, but I don't know. I liked it, and I'm intrigued. I think it's kind of cool. I see the four of the Trust Busters in the ring, and it doesn't make sense to me. But I feel like there's an investment in them from AEW, so because they got fast tracked. So I want to see what happens, and I'm happy that Sonny got to finish the main event, finish the show in the ring.
I like that it shows that Sonny was one of the first hires by this company, and that they're still supporting Sonny. Of like, look, guys, we weren't kidding. Like, we will develop talent here. We want to bring in exciting independent talent and make them into something. I like that aspect of it. That the fact that 4 years later or whatever it is now, from when Sonny was announced, it has actually been 4 years, hasn't it?
Sonny was hired before the first show.
Before the first show, because Sonny was at the big Vegas announce thing. That was one of their big signs, and we were all like, "Oh my god, they're gonna put a rocket ship on Sonny." They never did. Like, Sonny got some decent TV time at that one Fight for the Fallen, the first one, I think, whatever, and then nothing since. Like, nothing. A couple of decent matches on the early darks when the numbers were way up, but man, just dismal. So
yeah, let's see what Sonny does with this.
Look, and Sonny's got a great attitude about it and has the whole time of like, I just want to be ready when my time comes, and I promise all my fans that I'll be ready when my time comes, and if they give me a chance, I'll do it. But obviously, also the subtext of that was they haven't given me a chance yet. I don't know why, but I'm not getting the chance yet. So here it is, Sonny. You got a chance now. Please run with it. Steal every second of camera time that you can. Make it hot. That's all I can say. We're behind you, Sonny, and please, 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 like, make every moment that you can shine. Do your best. Put in good work. Be respectful. Have great matches. Push the storylines. Do all of that. And Sonny's promos at Lucha and some of the indie stuff that we've seen, plenty good. Sonny can cut a promo, y'all. Sonny can do all. It has his own style, but Sonny can do it all. So,
I think it's going to be good. I think they're going to be good and entertaining, and I think it'll be one of those things where we watch them sort of figure it out on the fly too, which I also appreciate.
All right. It'll be fun. That part of it intrigues me. So maybe you're right. I'll leave a little bit of benefit of the doubt. So for this week, because of the fact that I think this Rampage was really off on a lot of levels, I have to give it to WWE, even though this I like. Make Sonny the AEW uncensored champion. Let's do it. We
Make
can
a new
use more
belt.
belts.
They need more.
Why not? I don't mind that. A lot of people complain about the too many belts in AEW thing. I have not felt it as a problem yet. Maybe when Pac comes back with his thing, maybe it becomes a little crowded. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm fine with it so far. So
There's also
a lot of talent, and I
also-
don't think they're overusing any of the belts.
There's going to be more. There's going to be AEW wrestlers at AEW matches at Wrestle Kingdom this year, and they'll figure more out. But I think it would be super dope. I mean, it also.
Oh, you're not caught up on G1, Byron? Do you have any G1 stuff you wanted to talk about? Because I haven't been watching, and sadly, I just haven't had the time.
I've really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of the non top names are doing cool stuff. ELP is a highlight, and this is all old news. But ELP also did commentary and did phenomenal. I heard about how great he did at commentary.
But he just changed the name now?
What's wrong with ELP?
So Meef doesn't flip out every time?
Meef doesn't like him because he's a white dude. El Phantasma, right. Like he's okay. He's encroaching upon intellectual property that someone else stole. Like he's not doing the same gimmick.
EO del Fantasma is going to go up to the big brand soon, right? I mean, that's pretty much the speculation from everyone.
But he's Santos Escobar, and I get the whole Phantasma thing, but I don't see a link between ELP and the whole Phantasma Legado legacy, whatever. I don't see it. He's not like I'm a great luchador with the mask and blah blah blah. He's his very very own thing. But yeah.
And by the way, I believe, contrary to what a lot of people think, I don't think that when Santos comes up, he's going to be anywhere near Rey Mysterio. I think they're going to keep him as far away from Rey Mysterio as possible, build him as a completely separate thing. I do not think that a lot of people have speculated that he's going to be coming up and it's Dominic. Rey's going to pass the torch to Dominic. They're going to keep, I think, Phantasma, Santos, whatever you want to call him, the Hunter, Cuerno, away from Rey altogether. Like, he'll go SmackDown, Rey will stay Raw, or vice versa. They'll build him in the mid card all on his own. Maybe he'll go to SmackDown and feud with Ricochet or somebody. And like, I think there's plenty of stuff that they can do. I think they need to build separate Latinx brand as well, because it is still part of Nick Khan's plan to branch into more of the Latin territories. And I believe that Triple H very much champions some of the more worldwide programming aspects that they have talked about to bolster the company. And Mexico and Latin America have always been a huge thing on that list. Vince has even tried to do it a couple times himself, but then he gets frustrated with it and he doesn't want to build programs with people he can't understand, because Vince has always been that way. He just sees them as bad guys because I don't understand them, or comedy bits. So clearly Santos is not that. He is the better and improved version of what they had with Alberto Del Rio. And I think that he can go a long way as a standalone thing and not have to take the mantle from Rey. So we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. We'll see what Triple H does with it. But that's my prediction, that he'll go the other brand and be a top mid-card guy within a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, all right, Byron, you got anything else? Because I don't think I have anything else. I think I've done the things that I do.
I will say that it's going to be my mission in my work Slack on Friday to take bets among an entire post-production department who is already sick of me talking to our boss, our showrunner, about wrestling in the Slack. And
now you get to talk about Zach Clayton.
I've already gotten one other producer on board with the whole story, and she's like, I'm on Team New York. I'm on Team Brooklyn, because I'm like, it's New Jersey versus the Red Hook section of Brooklyn.
It's amazing.
And I'm gonna poll everyone on who they think will win that night, and everyone is going to just hate it.
I'm going to go line by line and itemize how much money my Star's writer contract that I just got is going to cost me for my show. And it's a lot.
You don't want to do that. It'll make you sad.
I'm going to cry for the rest of the night. So you know what I say to that?
What?
Until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.